There has never been a more appropriate open to start the radio show than we got to get out of here because I'm going to blow a gasket. Good morning. Happy Monday, I guess. Happy week one to all of you. But what an absolute disaster that took place at Mile High Stadium. And it's more irritating because it's what we all expected to happen. Nobody expected the Tennessee Titans, last year's worst team in professional football. Nobody expected them to go to the Denver Broncos as the biggest point spread underdog in the sport yesterday and win a football game. Nobody expected that. So the thing that happened. They lose 20-12. And in any other situation, if I'd have given you that box score sight unseen, it'd have said 20-12. They covered. Brian Callahan covered in a football game. He's only done that 3 times in his career as an NFL head coach. They got something done. They got things accomplished. They looked competitive. The answer to your question would be, yeah, but then they nuked themselves at every possible turn in all of the different ways that they spent the last 6 months telling us that they weren't going to do anymore. Sins. If you're unfamiliar with what that term means to them in that building, it's self-inflicted negatives. What was yesterday, if not a self-inflicted negative for 60 seconds of a professional football game that, frankly, you looked like you had the better roster. You looked like you had the better quarterback. Bo Nix looked like Auburn Bo Nix, and you lost to that. You lost to a team that turned the ball over 4 times. You lost to a team that was coaching scared, that was scared of their offense, that was settling, that didn't put their foot on your throat because they couldn't trust their offensive unit to get it done either. You lost to that team because of coaching malpractice. Malpractice. And I'm not somebody who comes in here and says, you know, it's fair to criticize play calling because we're not in the meetings. We don't know what the play calls are. We don't know what the reads are, but I know that that is crap. I know that you have to know the rules in the post-game press conference after the fact if you're not going to challenge certain things. I know that you cannot be hyper-conservative to just try and take points on your opening drive and that at the end of the first half say that you want to be aggressive backed up in your own end zone with a rookie quarterback against the NFL's leading sack defense. Yesterday was crap. And if you'd have told me that they find another way to lose, that they keep, Lucas, inventing ways to lose, I don't know if you could have recreated that situation 9 times out of 10, but they found the one way to pee down their leg yesterday after all the offseason talk of they're not going to be that team anymore. I can't imagine what it feels like to be a Titans fan today. 615-737-1045 is the number of the FNM Bank chat. Also open at your disposal. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. The whole show's down bad. The way that the nightcap was brutal to watch Derrick Henry fumble that ball. Buffalo with an incredible win at the end of that game. Good football all over the place, but not at Mile High.
Yeah, this is why it's so hard to have those preseason conversations about, okay, what stat line would be success for Cam Ward in his rookie year? How many games does Brian Callahan need to win to get to a year 3 as the head coach of the Titans? Because to your point, if there's a Titans fan that had to work on Sunday and didn't get to watch the game and wasn't able to look at his or her phone and just got home and saw the final, we lost 20-12 in Denver and had the ball at the end of the game down by a score with a minute to go. Sign me up. I'll take it. Let's go. Let's go beat the Rams in the home opener.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then you hit play, and the context is everything, which is why those preseason conversations are such a moot point because the context of this game was everything. Just too much that didn't put them in a position to succeed. 13 penalties for 131 yards. Titans were one of the 3 most penalized teams in the league last year, and they didn't have a single game with that much penalty yardage. Not one. Not one. The timing of them late, the drops late in the game as well. Man, it is crazy to think that they went into Denver, played the Broncos, fought tooth and nail.
They should have been, they were the better team.
Lost by a score, and that this is the takeaway. It is discouraging. It is a discouraging week 1, to say the least, given the challenge that they were up against.
And so don't call me today and say, yeah, but it's just week 1. No, don't give me that crap. Do not let them off the hook for what they did yesterday. Because what they did yesterday was find ways. Lucas, we have set the bar, and you're going to have to, we got to set up a fine system or something like that today because my tone's going to be bad all day. Like that it was a bad football game for them to open with, given all the talk on the front end. And frankly, given we cannot set the bar lower for them to achieve, we have lowered it and lowered it and lowered it at every turn. Understanding, okay, patience over panic. Understanding, roster in rebuild mode. Understanding, young players having to be put in meaningful roles right away. Like, we cannot lower the bar for them any more than we just spent the last 6 months doing, because we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page. This year is about making sure that you have the right thing in the quarterback and the right coaching staff to guide that young quarterback through all the trials and tribulations of what will be his first NFL season, because there will be plenty. And yesterday was as big an adverse situation as he may see all year long, given all the different things that happen. But if you are the coach, you cannot be the problem. I mean, you can. He was a huge part of the problem yesterday, but you cannot be the problem if you are Brian Callahan, because everybody in the country is now paying attention to you. You have the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. You want attention? You got it. Everything that you do as you try and work your way through that number 1 overall pick's rookie season, everything is going to be microanalyzed, and you cannot be unprepared.
Well, it's frustrating because of what they did well, right? It's frustrating for many reasons, but it's frustrating because they won 2 out of the 3 phases of the game. Special teams was excellent in this game. You could not have asked more from this Titans defense. What Denard Wilson did with this group, being able to apply pressure on Bo Nix, the takeaways that they came up with, apart from the 50-yard or the 80-yard drive that included the 50-yard run by R.J. Harvey and the 19-yard touchdown by J.K. Dobbins, stopped the run for 99% of this game. The Broncos had nothing going in the run game. 2 out of 3 phases, the Titans, I won't say dominated, but very definitively
but played
won.
Good enough to win, well enough to win.
Absolutely played good enough to win. And so that is the part that makes it so incredibly frustrating, is that there was so much that set you up for success, yet it was the self-inflicted stuff, again, that brought you down and has you starting the season 0-1.
Lucas, and the phone calls are going to be many today, and we will get to as many as we can. We obviously want to hear from you guys, because today is about you and the way that you felt about the way that your football team performed. And like I said, I think everybody was on the same page about realistic expectations. And again, had you told us that the Tennessee Titans went to Denver, covered, lost 20-12, but covered, you would have said that's a what's the word? Not a metaphor.
Moral victory.
Moral victory. That's the word.
You take that. You take that. You take that every time.
Not that.
Not like that.
I not like that. I cannot imagine, Lucas. Just going through the game and being like, all right, maybe there is set in some world. Like, still in my head as I'm riding the elevator down from the press box at Mile High to the bowels of the stadium where we're going to do this post-game press conference and talk to the players after the fact. I'm thinking, all right, maybe there is something that he knows that we don't know about the way that they orchestrated that. And then we ask him about not challenging Alec Iamaner's catch on the sideline, about 1 elbow equaling 2 feet. And he gets up there, I won't say defiantly, but pretty strongly says that's not the rule. 1 elbow doesn't equal 2 feet. Except this fan base saw Jonnu Smith catch a touchdown pass with 1 butt cheek down in Baltimore and knows that the rule is 1 part of your body equals 2 feet in that particular situation. Elbow, butt cheek, what have you. That's a thing we've seen. How do you not know that? Like, to not know the rules. He felt unprepared in the press conference. That's how do you not know that that's exactly what we're going to be asking you about? The end of half situation that Chimere Dike bailed you out of. Chimere Dike with a return after they botched the end of half situation to at least give them chance at a field goal. So the coach only cost them 4 points as opposed to 7.
Yeah, I mean, you go from being up 6-3 with a chance to just get it to halftime with that lead. And if not for Chimere Dike, you're going into halftime down 10-6. But you go down 10-9, which, again, all things considered, down by a point going into the third quarter, about as good as you can expect in that environment against that defense. But when you talk about turning points, I don't know which one is more costly. The second quarter sequence backed up in the shadow of your own goalpost, throwing the ball, only taking 8 seconds off the clock, giving the ball back to Denver in plus territory, and they score with the touchdown to Cortland Sutton, or the sequence in the fourth quarter after the Marvin Mims muff punt that gets you the ball on the Denver 24 in the fourth quarter, down by 2, needing only a field goal or a touchdown, and you will take a lead if you just get points on the board, and back-to-back sacks back you back into your own territory, and you're forced to punt it back to Denver. But those are the 2 hinge points of this game.
615-737-1045 is the number. You guys got phone calls. We'll take them. Ben Jones is going to be on the show today. Ben watched the game and has many thoughts. Brett Kern is going to be on the show today. Brett has many thoughts about the way that they fell flat on their face in Denver yesterday, 20-12 to open their season. Brian Callahan's press conference is on the show today at 12:30. We'll carry that live. I don't know what he's going to say, but I know he has to get up there and be more accountable than he was last night because you didn't know the rules and you directly cost your team a game. That was his Will Levis game. That was his Will Levis Chicago game. Just unbelievable malpractice. They're not playing the same sport. Think about this Ravens-Bills game last night. Baltimore is one of the best teams in football. Baltimore, all 3 of us picked Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. You know how thin the margin for error is in the NFL? Derrick Henry fumbles. They're leading the entire game. Josh Allen's a fire-breathing dragon, and he's right back on your neck. Buffalo wins on a field goal. That's the good teams. The good teams don't have the margin for error. And you've got 4 more yards of offense than you do in penalty yardage lost? Disgusting. 615-737-1045. Your phone call's next. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. Speaking of opportunity, the Vikings and the Bears have an opportunity to square off tonight on Monday Night Football. The over-under in that game at Chicago is 43.5. I think it's going to be low scoring. I would probably bet the under if I was betting with your money. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, plus score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THEZONE. That's one word, THEZONE. That's code THEZONE to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet, plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789, 21 plus, Tennessee only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. People are running hot today. Titans lose 20-12 in Denver, week 1. Cam Ward, can I say some nice things before I just spend, the remainder of the 3 hours just bitching and moaning about how bad they did?
Yeah, the moment wasn't too big for him, it didn't feel like.
No, what a sigh of relief it is to not have to worry about him. But I'm worried about everything around him, including the people that are responsible with making sure that he improves and grows and develops and is adequately prepared.
Well, there were moments, right? I mean, I think you can look at him in that sequence we were talking about in the fourth quarter, taking the 2 sacks to knock you out of field goal range, running backwards the way he did, right? How many times did we see him do that at Miami and successfully bailed out, wheel around the pressure, and make a throw on the run? But against that Broncos defense,
Denver cut it off real quick.
Right. So there were moments like that where you say, hey, man, that's not going to work here. Sacked 6 times, though. This is from the 33rd team. Since the year 2000, in the 21st century, 3 rookie quarterbacks have taken more sacks in their first career start. They're Ian Book, Deshaun Kaiser, and Aiden O'Connell. Book took 8, which is insane. Kaiser and O'Connell took 7. Cam Ward takes 6. 6 different Broncos pass rushers getting home. So it wasn't Nick Bonito just having himself a day. The whole Broncos front. And it felt like, what did they pressure him on? 50% of his dropbacks?
Yeah.
I mean, Vance
They were
Joseph.
on his neck.
Yeah, he turned up the heat, and for good reason. And there are a couple throws here and there. Like at the end of the game, the Ridley drop is just gutting, and you saw the reaction
At the end.
from Cam's dad at the very end, that last gasp drive.
What a relatable reaction, by the way, by his
doubled
father.
over. Oh, how many of us have been there?
Walk into the aisle, lean over the railing, and
I've
just
been there.
sigh. Welcome to the show, bud.
Yeah. But even on, there's another throw to Calvin in that drive that you could call catchable, but had a little too much juice, a little too far out in front of him. There's a throw to Ellick as well, or excuse me, Chig on that last drive that you could call it catchable, but, I just think just a little bit off. So not a perfect day by any stretch. And look, the Titans passing offense, most explosive play of the day was the 29-yard catch and run by Tony Pollard, and that happened on the 3rd snap.
And Tony, by the way, had all 32 yards on that field goal drive because they ran him into the line of scrimmage a couple of times, then he caught the 29-yarder.
He led them in receiving with that play.
God.
It's a one catch for 29 yards. So that's the day that it was for the Titans offense. And that's just the kind of game it was going to be, which is part of what made that second quarter sequence so baffling.
All right, let's play a quick game of guess the number before we open things up to the phone calls. 615-737-1045. Lucas, do you know how many offensive plays, the Tennessee Titans ran yesterday in Denver?
This is a bad game to play with me. All I did yesterday on the Locker Room Report on Titans Radio was read these stats. So why don't you just tell the people?
So, 55 offensive plays. Yes, Lucas is staring at numbers, probably trying to make sense of them, though you couldn't figure out the math to what time the inactives would come out, which made me laugh.
Yeah, that one got me.
Hour ahead of time. Anyway, 55 offensive plays for your Tennessee Titans yesterday in Denver. A 133 net yards of offense. For those of you doing the math, and I double-checked with my calculator because I'm not dumb enough to do it myself, that is I am dumb enough to screw it up myself, 2.41 yards per play. That is disgusting. 2.41 yards per play is horrendous.
But that's also just kind of the game that this was going to be.
No,
from an offensive standpoint.
Oh, no, I can't accept under 3 yards per play, Lucas. 3 yards per play isn't even a first down.
No, I know. It's not a good day offensively.
God.
But that's not what I'm focused on today.
Okay.
Like, that's not what has me discouraged.
Oh, no. I'm discouraged by penalties. I'm discouraged by coaching. I'm discouraged by Ridley. My God, Calvin. I to your point, there are some passes that have a higher degree of difficulty out there. And I'm not saying that every player on the field out there at any given point has to be able to catch every ball. But that one at the end that had Cam Ward's father doubled over, you got to catch that ball. You're down 8.
Yeah.
You're down 8, and none of us thought they were going to be able to come back and do it because something was going to go wrong.
Well,
something
that puts it in Broncos territory.
Correct.
I mean, you immediately get some juice. It probably would have been I don't know if it would have been 29 or more yards, but it would have been the most explosive play, certainly, of the second half.
My point is, I thought we were done with numbers like this. Like, it can still be a slog. You can win a game 10-7. You can lose a game 7-3 and feel like you put up a better fight. You can lose a game by 8 and feel like you put up a better fight. But this was a game where they just completely shot themselves in the foot at every turn, which is what they spent all last year doing. And it's not because the special teams were disastrous. Fossil got it right.
Yeah,
it's not because the defense
excellent, to be honest.
Not because the defense was a sieve. Denard Wilson did a good job. Jeff Simmons, I know the penalties with Jeff. I mean, my God, like when their margin for error is so thin anyway, like Jeff, you just can't. Okay, and I understand that he played a hell of a game. He was all over the place, but like the penalties are just such killers when they happen, when they do, especially when they are 2 of the 13 penalties that you take on as a team.
Well, but the reason I say that, to me, like the offense, obviously it's worth talking about. It's the rookie quarterback's regular season debut. But that's just the kind of game that it was. If there's another world in which the Titans don't have those critical mistakes, let's say you take away 30 yards of penalties and they have 101 instead of 131, especially the critical penalties like the 5-yard penalty that makes it 2nd and 6 that leads to a Tony Pollard fumble in the first half. There's a scenario in which this game is a grimy 15 to 12, 12 to 10 type of final. Like, there is a scenario, and the Titans just did the things that did not enable them to win the game in that kind of scenario. But that's the kind of game that it was. I won't say for both teams because the Broncos did end up finding some juice offensively.
Oh, the Broncos, though, were terrible.
But, yeah, they struggled in the first half. I mean, these teams were neck and neck in the first half. I mean, that is the issue as well for the Titans. 30 yards of total offense in the second half. They just didn't have any answers, but therein lies the issue, that even though you didn't have those answers offensively, there was still a world in which you could win this game, but you did too many things to hurt yourself and take away your ability to win the game. You could have won this ugly game in Denver. Because if we're being honest with ourselves, Buck, that's the only way the Titans were going to win this game.
Oh, sure.
If it's an ugly, knockdown, drag-out, grimy, weird Week 1 opener.
But Lucas,
and it was that for most of the game.
They did it.
Yeah.
Like, they did it until they put Cam in such an untenable situation that he's having to drop back because they're chasing, and now the Denver Broncos are doing what they do. They're teeing off on you because they've taken the running game out of it. They've stifled whatever Tony Pollard was able to find in the middle of that defense early where he was driving towards the end of the first half. They shut it down, but you still had a chance. That's the thing that makes yesterday so infuriating. I wouldn't have given them a chance. I said they were dead in the water. I thought they were going to get shelled. They didn't. They fought their asses off. And the reason that, like, people are justified in being furious with Brian Callahan today is you cannot betray the players that way. You have to they have to trust that you are going to put them in every possible position to succeed humanly possible. You have to be able to trust your coaching staff that way. Fossil did his job. Denard Wilson did his job. You're the head coach and the offensive play caller, and you're up there answering questions in the post-game press conference about a challenge that you didn't make because you're saying, one, your people upstairs in the booth told you it wasn't worth challenging. That's black mark number one. And two, you're asked about the rule, and you say the wrong version of the rule. You don't know the rule in that situation. Three, how do you not know the rule? Lucas, we were sitting in there for 20 minutes waiting for him to come out to the press conference. I'm assuming somebody's talking to him about the things that we're getting ready to ask questions about, right? Like preparing him for what the conversation is going to be like. How the hell do you not have the additional time to make sure that you're buttoned up on that, to have better answers other than we're trying to be aggressive at the end of the half? I mean, that first half, up until that point, was anything but aggressive. And I could almost forgive that. Rookie quarterback's first start on the road, great defense, take the points and run, even though I'm disgusted by a 3rd and 10 surrender draw. Like that pisses me off.
I don't take big issue with the conservative nature of how they ran the offense when in Broncos territory.
No, I don't either.
Yeah,
but then to flip it and say, well, we're trying to be aggressive in that situation. Right. Take the 6-3 lead to half.
And part of the issue there is why don't we hear from Brian Callahan? Can we hear from Brian Callahan, Robert, on that end of second quarter sequence that had them going from up 6-3 with less than a minute to play to, trailing at halftime?
Yeah, I was trying to be aggressive and see if I can get the ball moved out from underneath there. And we've kind of gotten a little bit of rhythm, so I was trying to take advantage of some momentum potentially, and it didn't really work out in our favor in that point.
Is that worst case scenario to have them turn around and score a touchdown the way that they did?
Absolutely it is, yeah. Yeah, that was it's a wild swing in the end of the first half that I was, tough to overcome those when you put yourself in that spot. And again, trying to be aggressive, see if we can get the ball moving back forward the other way a little bit, and didn't really work out for us.
The mumbled follow-up that I had in the middle of that was, is that the worst-case scenario that could have resulted from your decision-making there? Because Jarvis Brownlee gets the defensive pass interference penalty, so all Bo Nix has to do is throw a 22-yard strike to Cortland Sutton, and that's enough. Like, that's enough. And you still get the ball back with an opportunity. But the fact that they had 2 timeouts in that situation, Lucas, and that they call 3 passing plays, 2 incompletions, a sack, that you're backed up in your own end zone, like, it's just such a weird place for you to choose to get hyper-aggressive after what that entire first half was.
Yeah, and the rhythm, he's talking about the offense found some rhythm, and they did. They got into the Broncos' red zone. They got into a goal-to-go situation and obviously came up short, had to kick the field goal. But the thing that got them into that position for a chip shot field goal, it wasn't the passing game, right? They had a 10-yard completion to Alec Iamaner for a first down on that drive, and then it was just Tony Pollard just kind of chipping away. Tony Pollard 9-yard run here, Tony Pollard 6-yard run there, and they end up getting stymied at the goal line. And again, no problem with the decision to kick the field goal there.
But the problem, Lucas, there, who got stymied?
Yeah, Julius Chestnut.
It wasn't Tony Pollard. They pulled Tony out. Tony's chunk play. Okay, Chestnut, go in there. Smoked at the line of scrimmage by the Denver Broncos defense. And I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened to Pollard too, but like that, it's just weird. The decision-making is weird. I understand that you and I and the audience, we have limitations as far as what we are able to discern from our vantage point, that we do not have all the necessary information to know exactly what they're doing wrong versus what they're doing right. But I think on face value, we understand that their decision-making, their cumulative decision-making across the course of that game put them in a hole that they could not dig out of, on top of everything else that they are already up against, which is probably being a best roster. Like the irony that the roster is the thing that almost bailed them out yesterday. After we've spent...
What do you? I don't understand what you mean by that. That's
Chimray DK.
The roster.
A big return at the end of the first half after Callie botches the play calling situation.
Yeah. Longest kick return they've had since that Darius Jennings touchdown in Miami in 2018.
The defense that we did not think was going to be as effective played a good game. And I know Bo Nix did not play up to what we expected, but the defense played well enough. They capitalized. They got turnovers.
Yeah.
Like
Jeffrey Simmons was, apart from that penalty at the end, was excellent in this game.
That's what I'm saying. The roster did its job.
Yeah.
You can't sink them if you're the coach.
Yeah, you got, for the most part, you got what you wanted out of the young players that you had to lean on in this game. DK on special teams, Io Manor popping up. He ends up with just 2 catches for 13 yards. And again, for Cam Ward, there are rookie moments, but nothing nuclear, nothing that directly put the Titans in harm's way apart from taking that big sack in Denver territory, right? Like, not a lot of turnover-worthy plays from Cam. The Titans... they did turn the ball over at the end of the game. They end up with 2 turnovers, but at that point, it's a 4th and 10 sack fumble. The game's over. So in my mind, the Titans really turned it over once in this game, even though the box score will say 2. But yes, it's too many situational things that did not set them up for success. Namely, the second quarter sequence. Because what's the best case scenario there, right? You go 50 yards in 30 seconds and set up Joey Sly for a long field goal.
And you take a shot because you got a kicker, you're at elevation, maybe he hits what was the long...
He hit a 50.
No. What was the one that he hit at Nissan Stadium in the preseason?
Oh, that was
like 63
at
something
longest
like that.
ever
Right.
in Nissan Stadium.
We're kind of joking around in the press box. Maybe they screw around, not thinking that they throw 3 straight passes and kill 8 seconds, only 8 seconds off the clock, with Sean Payton still having two timeouts and them having 2 timeouts.
By the way, before we go to the phones, while we're on Sean Payton, the 4th and 8 decision.
So weird.
What?
I don't know.
What in the world? Like, some of the just a weird. Week 1 is weird. I get it, but that decision to go for it just made no sense to me. When you can kick that field goal, go up by 2 scores, effectively end the game, which is such a higher percentage play than converting a 4th and 8. And if you don't get the field goal and you don't get the 4th down, it's the same result. Titans get the ball right there with a minute left.
But I think that makes this Titans loss that much more offensive, that Sean Payton was doing weird, quirky things that were clearly conservative, more conservative than you would otherwise expect him to be, and you couldn't take advantage of it because you sucked. 615-737-1045 is the number. Hillbilly Jim, get us started here this morning. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hey, I love your show.
Appreciate it.
What I want to say is, if I go deer hunting and I break my arrow, I put tape on that arrow and I try to shoot it. That thing ain't gonna shoot straight, and that's what Amy's doing right now. She keeps putting tape on the arrow. I'm sorry, Mr. Callahan, but you need to go. We got to start playing football, hard-nosed football, Tennessee football. Thank you, guys, and y'all have a great day today.
Appreciate the call, Jim. Putting tape on the arrow, affecting the arrow's flight, scatter shot. I mean, listen, I came off the top and said, don't call me today and make excuses for them like it's just week 1, because it's not acceptable. I mean, it's just not acceptable. There are ways to lose in week 1 that I also wouldn't say acceptable. You're not here for moral victory type of stuff, but that's just, sometimes that's the nature of the beast, right? And again, their messaging all offseason was patience over panic. We get that. So I'm not saying that the panic or that the frustration, because it's not panic, it's frustration, it's irritation, it's anger,
Well, there are fans, and I'm sure we're going to hear from some that want the coach fired this week. And that does nothing for you right now.
Oh, God, but
it does nothing for you right now.
No, I know.
Like, we can walk the line of not trying to create excuses for the Titans shot themselves in the foot over and over. The sins they preached all offseason ended up being what did them in, and what could have been a career win for Brian Callahan, what we were talking about on Friday. It would have been their best win as a franchise since 2021, since the year they went and got the 1 seed. And that's what did them in, the thing they were preaching all offseason. There's no excuse to be made there. It can simultaneously be true that it does nothing for you to fire the coach after week 1. It does nothing for you. Brian Callahan's going to be given an opportunity to bounce back from this, and the Titans are as a whole. Okay. Both of those things can be true.
But is he actually getting an opportunity? Because the reporting was they thought about firing him. They thought about firing him in the offseason. And they decided, Matt Eberflus Bears style, okay, we'll try it again.
He's going to get an opportunity in that he's going to be coaching against the Rams and against the Texans and against the Colts.
I agree with you, but is that just because, okay, well, now we're too far in and we just got to wait?
Yeah, no, it's an incredibly tenuous position.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
absolutely.
Is he getting an opportunity, or are they looking around? Because not a single person thinks they did a good job yesterday. Not a single person. That is the rare, by consensus, indefensible situation that a coach put his team in. And like I said, everybody's watching you now because you have the number 1 pick. You wanted that scrutiny, you've got it. You cannot falter that badly if you're him in that specific spot. You cannot be the reason that we're having this conversation today. Back to the phones. How about Mary Claire in Bellevue?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I've got a question for you. So how often, is there a percentage for the win-loss when teams win the turnover battle in games, specifically Week 1 and specifically the Titans? Because in my memory, I can't remember losing a game and winning the turnover battle. Thank you for taking my call, and I will hang up and listen.
Thank you for the call, Mary Claire. Brett Kern talks about the big 3 all the time, right? It's the turnover battle, it's the QBR, it's the rushing. And
they only won turnover battle of those 3.
Sure. But 4 turnovers is a death sentence. Like, if you had to win one, that's the one you want to win.
Scoring 6 points off 4 turnovers is a death sentence.
Lucas, they had 2 possessions in plus territory that didn't even get points. Yeah. And that, the 2 sacks on Cam that took him out of field goal range, like, he wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they were so just lackluster around him that he's in these situations where you're asking the rookie, the guy who just got here in his first NFL start, to do the heavy lifting, to bail you out. He shouldn't have to do that. So no, Mary Claire, it doesn't happen very often. Very rarely does a team turn the ball over 4 times, 3 on offense, 1 on special teams, a muff punt. And again, they had the ball at the 23. The Titans got the ball at the 23 and punted because of how far backwards they ended up going on that drive alone. 7 possessions in opponent's territory, 12 points, no touchdowns. Disgusting. Xavier in Baltimore next.
Morning, fellas. Thanks for taking my call. Really stressful game to watch. I would classify myself as a Titans fan who believed 2024 was majority Will Levis, and if we could swap out a quarterback who got it between the eyes, we would be okay. After watching that game yesterday, it's very hard for me to think anything about Brian Callahan. In fact, I'm going back to thinking, was Will Levis as bad as we thought he was? Or was it because he looked a lot better with Vrabel compared to Callahan? But I digress. I had to call off work because of that loss. Thank you, guys.
We got people calling out of work because they're so down bad about week 1. I mean, I don't want to do the Vrabel comparison today because they look terrible too. He's punting from his own 50-yard line down 10. Come on, Mike. Anyway.
We don't have to do the Will Levis thing, too.
You sure?
Yeah, we're good on that.
You don't want to do that?
I don't think we need to revise the Will Levis experience last year because of the Titans committing 13 penalties on Sunday.
He's got a new mayonnaise clothing line.
He does.
You see that?
Get that bag, man.
No, I don't blame him. All right, more of your phone calls coming up next. Ben Jones in the second hour, Brett Kern in the third hour. Titans lose their week one opener, but not in the way we thought they would. No one wants to deal with a plumbing, HVAC, or electrical emergency. Most of the time, you don't know what it will cost or if it'll get fixed correctly or if someone is just trying to sell you something. When you call Hiller, their experts are going to solve your problems quickly. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. The price you're told is the price you'll actually pay. There's no hidden fees or surprises on your bill. So book online now at happyhiller.com. They've been in business for over 35 years. They're family owned and operated. Their techs are professional, experienced, and trustworthy, and they're all background tested and drug screened. When they're on their way, you'll receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time. No more wasting time waiting around. 100% satisfaction guarantee of happy you'll be or the service is free. That's happyhiller.com. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Been down since I began to crawl. That's what it feels like the last couple of years when you watch the Tennessee Titans play. And while there are some things to be genuinely optimistic about, I'm so sick of coming in here. I didn't bring the sad boy radio hat or do all the other crap we did last year when it was just so bad it was comical. Because, I'm tired. I'm tired of doing this show. You guys are tired of listening to this show. God bless the people that made that trip out to Denver. So many Titans fans, a lot of Titans fans, people excited. There was juice in the stadium, both sides, just a fun atmosphere. And then that game, the rare game, it feels like every time the Titans and the Broncos play at Mile High, both fan bases are pissed about it. Like they come away not happy with the results.
That's how it's been the last three, for sure.
Whether it was 16-0, Joe Flacco, Denver, Titans lose, whether it's the season opener in 2020, Gostkowski misses all the kicks in the world.
Yeah,
and
all incredibly ugly games.
Somehow the Titans able to gut it out. Yeah, we can't see a good game at Mile High, it appears.
Well, it feels like deja vu in a way from week one last year. Obviously, different things led to the Titans losing, but in that, the defense played really well, that it was an ugly game, that you were in a position to win, and you shot yourself in the foot, that you were the biggest reason for not winning on the road. That was the case for the Titans last year in Chicago, and it came down to Will Levis and special teams. And it was the case for the Titans in Denver, coming down to mismanagement of certain situations, penalties, drops, and all the things that we're going to be talking about today until 1 o'clock when Cover 2 takes over. So it's that feeling of deja vu. The question is, what does it look like down the stretch now? Because last year, the Titans defense got off to an excellent start to the season. Granted, they were playing Caleb Williams in his first ever start, and Caleb had his struggles last year. He also grew into the season. So they got Caleb Williams at the best possible time. But we were talking very positively about the Titans defense after week one last year.
Yes.
And it kind of expired, right? I mean, it wasn't sustainable with how bad they were on offense, the situations the defense was in. Certain things started to falter, and then the bottom started to fall out in some areas. So what happens from here? Is this the Titans defense that we're going to see this year with Denard Wilson scheming up pressure, a healthy, leaner Jeffrey Simmons having great individual performances, L'Jarius Sneed on a pitch count, but
Sweat smoking a dude in the hole on a QB sneak, all the
secondary,
different things.
All things considered, played well in this game.
Although we'll get to Sneed. Did you see the comments from Sneed after the game?
It sounded like he wanted to play more, but look, we said he was going to be on a pitch count, and he was on a pitch count. I don't understand why that's a story. I understand his
what he
response.
Said after is a story.
Sure, that maybe it sounded like he expected to play more. But how are they going to push past this then? Because last year, the quarterback issues continued, and it just was this big weight around them. Special teams dreadful, and it started to crater. Now, how do they bounce back from this? What kind of Titans defense do we see moving forward, considering they got off to a nice start in week one last season, too?
Let me hear from Brian Callahan. This is the thing that's got the most people pissed off today. Brian Callahan was asked about an Alec Iamaner catch that was challenged by the Broncos and overturned. Alec Iamaner got one elbow down, but not 2 feet. But by the letter of the law, that is a catch. Brian Callahan is asked about the decision not to challenge that specific play, that specific sequence in the game, which is one of several critical missed opportunities that they had. This is what the head coach had to say at the podium last night.
Yeah, you got to get a foot in bounds, too. Which we didn't have a clean look at whether his foot was down as well. An elbow doesn't equal 2 feet, so his foot would have had to come down as well. We didn't have a clean look, so the call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging.
The call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging, and an elbow does not equal 2 feet. Except when you read the NFL rules and when you look at the Article 3 in the NFL Football Operations Handbook, completed or intercepted pass, a player who makes a catch may advance the ball. A forward pass is complete by the offense or intercepted by the defense in the field of play at the sideline or in the end zone if a player who is in bounds, B, touches the ground in bounds with both feet or with any part of his body other than his hands, i.e. an elbow, a butt cheek. These are the kind of things that do qualify as a completed pass. And the refs missed it. That's fine. Refs missed it. Refs should have had it. Should have never been a conversation. But you're dealing with the D-team refs because you're on a small market game. That's just the nature of how they decide the officiating crews, whatever. But you as the coach have to know that. The people supporting you in the booth above as the coach have to know that. The explanation cannot be, one, incorrect. It's just a not correct answer. Like, that is not the correct answer from the coach. And two, it can also not be, well, the guys upstairs that are supposed to back me up didn't catch it either. God.
Yeah, I'll be fascinated to see what Brian Callahan says about that today when we hear him talk at 12:30.
It's the most offensive thing they did yesterday, was him not knowing the rules. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Nolan is in Nashville next.
Yeah, what's up, Buck?
Yo.
Yeah, I think Callahan actually already sealed his fate, man, with the game yesterday, to be honest. I think it's just a matter of time now. I think the team is in a good position. We had a good draft, and I think everything that we need to get rid of is kind of exposing itself now, if it makes sense. And so now it's just about making the proper adjustments, man. So I'm very optimistic where we are. But I like to the front office. I want to make a suggestion, man. Reach out to Rex Ryan, man, and have a conversation. I don't know what his qualifications are, what y'all looking for in the coach, in the next head coach, but reach out to Rex Ryan, man. He's interesting.
Thanks for the call, Nolan.
Didn't have that one on the bingo card.
Rex Ryan, week one.
As the first name thrown out there.
I thought for sure he was going to say John Gruden.
We're getting tweets about John Gruden. I did not have Rex Ryan, who has not coached since 2016.
Why does Rex want to even do that? Like, Rex seems
He's
very
having a
happy
great time
to throw grenades on television at people. I listen, you guys can be frustrated today. Understand that coach is not getting fired today, okay? Even if you want him to be fired, even if you think that there are things that can be gained, like, there's almost some logic to saying, we'll just rip the Band-Aid at this point.
But where's the logic? Like, what can be gained?
No, I'm not saying that I agree with that logic, but if I was a fan today and I was trying to make these justifications in my head, I would almost sympathize with people saying, well, before it gets even worse, just rip the Band-Aid. Even though I would disagree with that particular pattern. Again, I was advocating for him to get the whole season. He should get the whole season. A commitment to Cam Ward should be a commitment to Brian Callahan. But he put himself directly in the line of fire yesterday.
Well, and again, that's why those preseason discussions of, I don't think, how many games does he have to win? He should get the whole season no matter what. Any coach can coach themselves in or out of a job at any point. No matter how good you were the previous year or how bad you were the previous year or what preseason expectations are placed on you, the results can have you in a place where people are calling for your head after week one. That's how this business works.
Sure.
Right?
And we got a lot of time to kill until week 2, right? We got 6 days until they play their next game, and it's not going to, things aren't going to calm down between that. I mean, I can't imagine what the home environment's going to look like after that mess.
So we shouldn't be screaming fire the coach after week 1, as bad as it was in Denver. And also, we shouldn't be saying no matter what, you give him all 17 games, because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 16 games. That's what the games are for. It's what the results are for, to help inform these decisions. We try to predetermine these decisions without any of the context. The context of week 1 wasn't good. Now we need the context of week 2 and week 3 and so forth. Let's not talk about making Denard Wilson the interim and then having Nick Holtz, another first-time play caller, call the plays. Yeah, that'll fix everything. Like it'll even get them a jump on hiring a new coach. It won't.
Did wonders for the Jets.
It's September 8th. So no, let's avoid that discussion today, please.
But Rex Ryan?
That's crazy. That's the first one.
That's why I love you guys. More of your phone calls. Ben Jones in studio coming up next. Not sure who BAB is, but I know who the Tennessee Men's Clinic is, and they've been helping guys for over a decade who are struggling with performance issues. Erectile dysfunction can wreck your confidence, and it can impact your relationship, your mental health, and even your sense of identity. But there's good news. There's real help. Since 2014, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped thousands of guys get back to feeling like themselves. Not cookie-cutter treatments. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is urology-based and staffed with multiple licensed providers who specialize in men's sexual health issues. They use proven treatments tailored to your specific situation. No one size fits all. Too many guys rely on pills that don't work or come with nasty side effects. There are better treatments. Sometimes it's a combination of those treatments that finally unlock the results that you've been missing. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes a full medical consultation, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose right there in the office. So call now at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or book easily online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
It is 11:03. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans started the season with a 20-12 loss at the Broncos on Sunday. They forced 4 turnovers on the day, but only turned them into 6 points, struggling to move the football, especially in the second half, where the Titans had only 30 yards of total offense. Penalties held them back as well, 13 for 131 total yards. The offense had the ball down 8 on its own 36 with a minute to play, but was unable to move the chains, and a sack fumble on Cam Ward on 4th down ended the game. This was quarterback Cameron Ward after going 12 of 28 for 112 yards in his rookie debut.
Well, I mean, we didn't score a touchdown. That's really the biggest frustration. Shooting ourselves in the foot, just staying in long situations, which we can't stay with. At the end of the day, we just got to continue to get better. That's only game 1. We got a long road ahead of us. We got 60 more to try to go get a win.
Brian Callahan will meet with the media coming up at 12:30. You can hear it live right here on The Zone. The Bills won a thriller on Sunday Night Football, coming back from down 15 in the 4th to beat the Ravens in a shootout, 41-40 with a walk-off chip shot field goal by Matt Prater. And the AP poll came out Sunday after week 2 of the college football season. Tennessee moves up to 15 after the win over ETSU. They'll play top 10 Georgia this week at home. Florida fell out of the rankings after their upset loss to USF, and Vanderbilt still unranked despite a road win over Virginia Tech. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, thank God sanity is upon us. Ben Jones is here for his weekly segment with us. We're happy to have you guys, I guess. I don't know if you're happy today. I would imagine not. Titans pooped the bed in Denver, 20-12. The situation, the coaching staff held accountable or being held accountable as we speak. We'll give a press conference. Brian Callahan will at 12:30 today. We will carry that live for you. It may be the single most interesting press conference that Brian Callahan has ever given, because I don't know what he has to do other than to get up there and publicly apologize for not knowing the rules as an NFL head coach. Unacceptable. 615-737-1045. is the number. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you live stream the show if you want to jump in. Benjamin.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Very frustrating.
What? Help me, okay? Because, you know, I run a little hot.
Yeah.
And I'm okay to be told that I'm being a little hyperbolic. But help me here. I don't know what to do when I watch something like that other than to lose my ever-loving mind.
Yeah, don't admit to that you don't know the rules right there. Like, hey, an elbow counts. All that, you got to know that. Like, yes, you might have got caught in the moment, like, hey, didn't think he was in, didn't want to waste the timeout. I think it's going to come down to the end of the game. But you don't say that in front of everybody, because now everybody's going to be questioned, hey, does he know what he's doing up there? Like, you're putting the light on you when you don't need it right now. Like, before half, you have a young rookie quarterback, you're backed up, get to half, you're winning. Like, don't give the team the ball. Like, hey, great, if you break a run, you do something, you get an easy completion, don't hold the ball, don't get a sack, don't turn the ball over for half, go to half with the win. All right, we just give it to them at half. You have no momentum. You got to sell this. You got a young team, new thing. You want to go into half with the lead, so you have some fire, like, hey, we're doing everything we want. No, we haven't scored in the red zone where we didn't do all day. But, guys, we're winning. Like, you had that multiple times. You're sitting there in the fourth quarter, have the ball after a punt. You take 2 horrendous sacks. Don't put him in the opportunity. You go down there and you can run 3 straight run plays. People can get mad at you. You kick the field goal. You're winning in the fourth quarter. Like, it comes down to, what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be cute and pretty, or are we trying to win games? They turned it over 4 times and we don't win.
I can't imagine that there were too many times. So you had Bill O'Brien and Mike Vrabel and Mike Mularkey. I can't imagine. So O'Brien, Mularkey, Vrabel. I can't imagine there were too many times in your professional football career where you were not completely and totally prepared for situations like some of the situations that arose. And Ben, like, I don't think that Brian Callahan doesn't know football today. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I cannot, at least in my head, if I was a player, I would feel betrayed because you have to be the thing that's going to be a plus for us on the sideline.
Yeah.
We are going to do our job. Defense did their job. Special teams did their job. Offense wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Nope. Calvin with the drops. Cam took some sacks at the end, but they put him in that situation because they're chasing. He's having a drop back more than he should have to. Offensive line was going to have a tough test regardless, right? Like
100%.
that's what it was. We all knew what it was, but you as the coach can't let us down there in the moments where it is on you. And yesterday there were some very specific situations where it was on him and he failed them.
Yeah, it wasn't. When you come down to it, you trust your coach to make those decisions, to put you in the situation to win games. He didn't do that yesterday. Like, that's where you hold a team. He's got to stand up in front of that team today, and he's going to have to make some hard.
How do you?
He better, or the team's going to be sitting there like, hey, who's this guy? Like, hey, what are we doing here? Like, we're doing so much. He's asking so much of us on the field, on the game day, and he's not coming through with his part. He's got to have accountability. Like, you have to. No matter if I miss a block, make the wrong call, the first thing I'm going to do in that meeting room, the first thing I do in the sideline, like, hey, that's me. I messed that up. Got to be held accountable. If you don't do that, it's going to be a long season because we have talent. Like, it's so frustrating that coming from where we were last year on special teams to this year to where we were on defense last year to this, that is a good team over there. Like, we gave it to them. Like, Denver played bad, too. Don't let them off the hook. They didn't look good.
Oh, my, that screenshot of Bo Nix handing the ball off the wrong direction that the running back is going.
Yes, it's week one. But you got to do everything to be on your P's and Q's as a coaching staff, as a player. Like, this is the one you look at and you're like, man, if we just beat Denver, we could have been there. Like, you can't let these little wins slip through because every game matters in the NFL.
Former Titans center Ben Jones hanging out in studio with us as he always will do throughout the course of Mondays through the football season. We'll take your phone calls with Ben here in just a second.
And Brian Callahan will speak in about an hour, 20 minutes. You can listen or watch it live on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, where we're taking your reaction on the F&M Bank chat. Mentioned the context of the challenge that the offensive line had up against it. J.C. Latham leaves the game with a hip injury. He doesn't return. Oli Udoh comes in at right tackle for that last stretch. They give up 6 sacks to 6 different defenders. Weren't able to run the football very consistently. Yet, Ben, we're not really talking a lot about the offensive line performance. Considering all of that context on what they were up against, what did you think about that group?
Yeah, you can definitely see they were on the road in a hostile environment. Yes, they were late on some snap counts, and you got to look at it. How many weeks has Cush been back at center? It's got to be dialed in with the head bobs. That JC was late on one and get away with the hold. Like, the young guy comes in, he's probably not taking any reps with that center on the head bob this week. Maybe a handful. That's a big and a hard task to ask the guy to come in and be dialed on the head bob, blocking those two animals on the edge. You're just not setting your young guys up or the O-line up for success. Like, you want to put them in third down so the guys got to play run, third and short, so they're not just dialing up and humming off the edge. And that's what we got in the situation. We were chasing at the end and putting Cam in a bad situation and not setting up our line, honestly, at the end of the game.
What did you see in the situation where after the muff punt by Marvin Mims, they take over on the 24, it's back-to-back sacks, and they had a chance to, even with a field goal, take a fourth-quarter lead, but end up having to punt out of their own territory. The situational stuff there, the spot Cam was in, what did you see in terms of what was in front of him, the pass protection he was getting, and what could he have done differently? Because it's easy for us to say you can't take that sack, you can't take that sack. But from a big picture standpoint, what did you think about that the context of that situation for Ward?
Yeah, you got to go in there, and he has to have – you got to give him your best play. Like, hey, we're in here. We're getting points this drive. This is going to be the momentum swing for us. Like, I need your best 3 plays on that call sheet that, hey, if his first read's not there, the ball is out his hand to a back or anything else. You don't let him hold the ball. You don't put him in a situation where he has to retreat, and you don't ask your O-line to have to hold up in that situation. Hey, run a screen, run a draw. Get the ball out of his hand so it doesn't lead to a sack or a hold, because it's going to be one or the other. If you're asking that situation, they're pinning their ears back and they're coming because all they're trying to do is get you out of that field goal range. Like, if you just go 3 straight plays and get no yards, we're winning. We're winning in the fourth quarter. And I know it's frustrating. We're like, oh, we wasted a drive there. It's points, and we didn't have to punt. So I just feel like don't put a guy in a situation. Yes, we can be frustrating with play calls, but if it leads to points, you can't get mad.
And you're winning by a point in the fourth, and you're not giving the Broncos the ball in a spot where they immediately rip off a 50-yard run after the fact and set up that J.K. Dobbins touchdown.
Just a mess. I mean, just of all the ways that you thought they would lose that football game, I don't think that you could have envisioned, for all the things that they've talked about this offseason, Ben, with us. And I'm not, like, my whole thing, I don't know how much of the first hour you caught, but, like, I just don't know how much lower I can make the bar for them to achieve. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of having to come in here week after week and whatever grace is required in certain situations. I understand that context matters, but like we are physically not capable of lowering the bar for that organization any more than we have spent the last 6 months doing, and they still find a way to screw it up.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. You're sitting there, our defense played so well, and it's not like we're loaded over there on the D-line. Like Jeff was getting pressure. He's getting doubled and still getting pressured on like our DBs with all these question marks.
Snead only played 19 snaps, none in the second half.
Right, and we didn't play bad. Like, you're sitting there like, oh, they're going to tear us up in the air. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They played well. We played really well on special teams. Like, we played winning football besides some coaching decisions and some in-game situations. Like, we were there. We're that close, and we just gave it away.
615-737-1045 is the number. We'll take your phone calls, talk more ball with Ben Jones coming up next. Let's face it, buying a vehicle should be straightforward and stress-free, and that's exactly how Two Rivers Ford has been doing business for decades. This locally owned dealership has a non-commissioned sales team whose only focus is to find you the right vehicle at the right price without the pressure. So you'll actually have a fun car buying experience. Great prices, easy financing, and a non-commissioned sales team. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. On fire. Fire turning up under the head coach's seat here in Tennessee, but that's a sin. That's a self-inflicted negative, bud. Terrible decision-making, terrible coaching decision-making in the Titans' 20-12 loss yesterday. Brian Callahan will speak in about an hour and 10 minutes. We'll carry that press conference live. Hopefully he's on time for this one, as opposed to making everybody wait around for 20 minutes to not have satisfactory answers. There may not have been satisfactory answers last night, but worst case scenario, what was said at that podium, I don't know how you could get buy-in from fans after that, but it's going to have to be a Lucas Panzica-style AI-written apology at the podium today to, I just think people in football generally, because everybody saw that. Everybody saw that. Congratulations on being an afternoon kick for the first time in God knows how many weeks. A lot of people saw you screw it up that way.
Well, I am curious, Ben Jones hanging out with us, former Titan center in studio. From a player's perspective, are you paying any attention to what Brian Callahan is saying at the podium today? Or is that just totally aside and you only care about what he's going to say in the team meeting?
I'm literally listening to him, what he's saying in the team meeting. I literally shut off all social media when I was playing. I didn't want to hear it. You would get some, like, if something said outlandish, a friend would send it to you, then you'd click on it. But I'm not after a loss, I am not looking at anything until we get a win. Like, I'm a miserable person. Like, that's what I'm paid to play. I'm not just going out there cutting a check. I am paid to win. And when I don't win, it was miserable in my house, anything, like, until we can get it. I want to play Thursday the next week and get it out the taste out my mouth. I just wanted to win. And that's how it should feel. Like, you lost, no matter how well or bad you play, at the end of the day, you're graded on wins and losses. Like, if you don't win, something's got to happen. Something's got to change.
Well, God knows there's been plenty of that around here lately. 615-737-1045. Ben Jones is hanging out with us. We have an actual football player to help us talk football, so we will be able to answer your questions more informatively. How about Zach in Chattanooga up next? Hey, Zach. What are we on hold?
Oh, no, hold on. Let's wait this out.
You think he's at the dentist? You think he's calling us from a work line where they have their own?
Thank you for your patience.
No way.
Your call is very important to us. We will be with you shortly.
That's not real.
No way.
That's not real. Is this now the customer support line? Titan self-help line?
Dog, how does that happen?
Too long of a way. I don't even know how the logistics of that on a phone line are possible. This is why we love the callers. Thank God for some comedic relief today. Ben, my tone has been so bad.
I don't even understand how does that work? How do you call us and put us on hold like that? That's crazy.
Maybe that was the whole bit. Maybe he's got it figured out where we've been bothering people with the Oscars music, 60 seconds on the clock. Now we've got our own hold to wait on. Unbelievable. It's good of the caller to start a Titan self-help line. It seems like there's a long line of people waiting to pick up that call. All right. How about Sam in Cedar Hill?
Gentlemen, thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
So what I saw yesterday, and I know people are happy to say, oh, let's fire Callahan, and obviously that's not going to happen. I think he needs to hand Cam Ward the keys. He did not allow him to get in any kind of rhythm yesterday. I mean, I was expecting, I think half of Titans Nation was as well, that the first play would not be a handoff. I think that soured everybody from the start, from the get-go. I wanted to see some 11, 12 personnel once that pass rush kicked up. And as far as the Rex Ryan comment, I think that hold music was for 1-800 replace my coach. And I'm on the John Gruden train for that one. I think he could come in and do a better job. At least give him the OC spot. I don't know what Holtz is doing back there besides holding the clipboard. So thank you for taking my call, guys.
Thank you for the call. So, Ben, the idea of, like, people get frustrated, and listen, you play to your strengths, and Tony Pollard is a strength on this football team. Yep. Derrick Henry was a strength for you guys when you were at your peak, and regardless of how frustrated people get with what they perceive as run, pass tendencies, regardless of coaching administration, it seems, whether it was, Art, Todd, Tim Kelly, on and on now, Nick Holtz and Brian Callahan. Yeah. The strategy, though, of what they were trying to accomplish, getting Tony Pollard going, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, you want to get your best players the ball early on. You want to take some pressure off a young quarterback and your O-line. Like, normally in a game, you're going to show multiple personnel groups. You want to find out what the defense scheme is going to be versus you that day. So you throw in a run, you throw in a empty personnel for an easy completion. You do a bootleg to get the quarterback an easy out of the pocket. Hey, I'm going to give him an easy one-read completion. Like, you run a little screen, get the ball out of his hand. Like, your first 15 plays of that script should be dialed in. Everybody knows it. And how do we get first downs and get the – you don't want to punt after 3 plays. Like, you want to get this thing moving. You want to get a first down and kind of let everybody take a breath of fresh air. Like, hey, we can move the ball a little bit. So it's a method to the madness, but a lot of times you're seeing how they're going to line up to different formations, different personnel groups to kind of know from then on out, like, hey, they're going to play us in this defense and this personnel group. So hopefully they're doing all that, and getting the answers to the test for later on in the game.
And so I think people can lose sight of that because they only see, the play that's called and the result that happens, as opposed to the chess match that is a 60-minute football game that way. So, not to justify what they did yesterday, because they were subpar across the board on a variety of different fronts, but there is some method to the madness beyond what I think the audience sees, or even what we see in a press box.
Well, I'm curious, how does that sequence fit into the overall game plan, right? Like, when you go into a game and you understand what it's going to take for you to win, and they were playing a certain way, Ben, for the majority of the first half. Mm-hmm. Conservative has a negative connotation to it, but it was what it was. That was putting them in a position to have a halftime lead. So the switch away from that is, I think, what has people a little bit baffled there in that sequence of putting the ball in the air 3 times.
Yeah, that's what if you have a game plan and goals for that week, when you sit down there pitching your team, you're sitting there like, hey, we're going to take care of the ball. We're going to run the rock. We're going to, get rid of the ball. We're not going to hold the ball. We're not going to get in 3rd and longs. We're not going to take sacks. And if you do that and it's a close game, why go away from it? Like, we have a game plan, or maybe he doesn't sit there in front of the team and explain, hey, this is what our whole goal is this week. Like, hey, we're going to stay in 3rd and short. We're going to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down with screens and play action, easy completion. We're not going to get in dropbacks because they got 2 really good edge rushers and D linemen right there. Like, how we're going to set our O linemen. You sell that to your team. You got to be a used car salesman all week. Like, no matter how good your team is or not, you got to sell it like this is what it takes to win. If you're not doing that, something's going on and your team breaks away from you.
How about Kenny in Murfreesboro next?
As I was watching the game, when they didn't throw the challenge flag on that play on the sideline, my first thought is he's too busy worrying about making the next play call. My question is, how many other teams have head coaches that are calling plays at the same time? And thanks for taking my call. I'll hang up and listen.
Thanks for the call, Kenny. There's a handful, right? I mean, we could go through the list. There's McVay, there's McDaniel, who obviously didn't have a good game yesterday. There's Shane Steichen on the other side of things, who's doing it at a very high level. I haven't gotten to watch that Colts-Dolphins game yet.
Vikings coach. A lot of McDaniel, like a lot of offensive-minded coaches do it. But you have a guy in the box who is literally on that. That's their whole responsibility, is game management. Somebody is talking to that coach because he can't see it on the sideline. So somebody's got to be in his head say, hey, slow it down here. Let's take our time. Hey, all right, it's very close. Throw the flags. Like, somebody's got to be telling him. He can't see it from the sideline.
I mean, Sean Payton 100%. On the opposite sideline yesterday, offensive play calling head coach. He threw like 8 challenge flags yesterday.
I thought he had like some of the Titans challenge flags too. Like, I thought he had exhausted all of his and just was using theirs.
So he threw the 2 in the first half. I don't think he ended up having to use one of them, or did he throw 3 in the first half and ended up not having to use one because they went back and reviewed it anyway? There was another one in the second half. I don't know the last time, Ben, I saw a game with that many challenges in 4 quarters.
Well, can I hear that question to Brian Callahan again? Because what the caller is referencing is a sideline catch by Alec Iamander that was called an incompletion, even though Alec got an elbow down, which again, according to the rules.
And by the way, this is 3rd quarter, and they're facing a 1st and 20.
Yes.
After a penalty.
Let's hear from the head coach, Joseph, if we could.
Yeah, you got to get a foot inbounds too, which we didn't have a clean look at whether his foot was down as well. An elbow doesn't equal 2 feet, so his foot would have had to come down as well. We didn't have a clean look, so the call from upstairs was that it wasn't worth challenging.
Ben, the call from upstairs, the people that are supposed to be the buffer, your safety net, not worth challenging. So even if, as the caller points out, Brian Callahan is in the process of calling the offense,
right?
Eyes in the sky. What are we doing?
Who are your guy you trusting up there? Like, who is that guy that's making that call for you? Because in other staffs I've been on, that's the guy who is the most dialed in. He is looking at every scenario all through the week. Like, we got to know that. Like, as a team, as an organization, we got to be better in those situations. That's make or break for a team and a win and loss right there. Like, we got to be better there.
On the whole, offensive line play. We understand that Denver was going to heat them up the entire time, and they did. And they got them in a situation that was favorable to the Denver defense because of the way that the game played out. But on the whole, what did you see from the offensive line unit across the board? Because what we have not yet talked about, Ben, or not really in detail with you, is the fact that they had 13 penalties for 131 yards yesterday. And there were more of them. There was enough pre-snap penalties that would be cause for concern.
Yeah, we didn't look comfortable on the silent cadence. We looked like a step behind our tackles. They wasn't dialed into that. That comes with, hey, that's a mini reps, bank reps. You literally work it all camp long, all that. With Cush not being there, it's hard on some guys. You got 2 new guys in there. Like, it makes them late. No excuse for JC. JC had it last year, so JC should be dialed in on that. But, yes, his head bob's going to be different than Levin's.
Yeah.
And you can only get so many reps of that in a week. And when you're facing that kind of guys on the edge, you're putting your guys in bad situations, and it's hard. It's not, you're not setting yourself up for success as O-line. You're trying to get no third and longs. You're passing situation. You want to be jump set, quick sets, and not having to sit there and hold up because you have a young quarterback. They're going to give you some different disguises on defense, and you're going to have to hold the ball longer. So it's not ideal for O-line this week.
Well, the irony is that they had 2 third down conversions. If I'm not mistaken, both were third and longs, right? Because the 3rd and 10 on the third play from scrimmage in the game, and then there was a 3rd and maybe 14 in the second half that they somehow converted. But after that first drive, they converted their first third down, and then they converted 1 of 13 after that, but weren't putting themselves in advantageous positions.
And J.C. Latham, who's been dealing with a hip issue for a couple of weeks now, knocked out of the game with a hip issue.
By the way, Peter Skoronski, according to PFF, had the highest pass block grade with an 88. Dan Moore Jr. had the lowest with a 26.4, but he had the unenviable task of dealing with Nick Bonito for 4 quarters.
Was excellent in this game.
Hair on fire the whole game. That's what he knew he had to do that. So let's help the guy out. Let's give him some chips. Let's give him some help from the tight end. Like, help him out. Don't put your tight end on him on a pass protection and make him hold up in pass protection. That is not ideal. Like, don't put their best player on defense and tell our tight end, like, oh, let's you block him.
You got him, big boy?
You got him.
Go ahead. Look at Ben. 615-737-1045. Brian is in Nashville next.
Hey, guys. I had a couple of questions, one for Ben specifically, but Ben, how much is on the scheme for the offensive line, and how much is on them for kind of just letting guys through, making Cam get rushed? Second question is for everybody. Are we seeing Cam rush throws or throw the ball? Like, he's throwing the ball with a ton of zip, but we had a bunch of passes that looked like they hit receivers in the hands. And is that more drop, or is he rushing? I just was curious on some of that.
Ben, we talked about this earlier, and then I'll let you answer the offensive line question. Cam Ward is putting balls on guys that they aren't expecting to be there.
He's throwing in tight windows, and that's an NFL throw. He is making those throws. We got to come down with it.
Okay. Now speak to the question that he asked about offensive line winning on their own versus the scheme helping them to win, as you mentioned.
Yes, you're paid a certain amount of money, and you're building a room, so you think you can go out there. You're not going to go out there and win every snap as an offensive line if you're one-on-one. Like, the scheme's got to help you. If it's third and long one time, hey, hit a screen. The next third and long, hey, give a chip for a tackle because you're protected inside. Like, it can't be, oh, I'm going to line up and run the same protection on third down and try to slide and do that. Third down, anything 3rd and 6 and long, it's not a high percentage of making it. So don't put your O-line or your quarterback in a bad situation to fail. Like, hey, let's get the ball out of our hands. Let's chip. If you want to take a longer thing and not get as many guys out in the route, yes, you protect your quarterback, but, hey, you only got 2 receivers out. So he's got a fine line of what you want to do there. Like, hey, I'm going to go empty. I'm going to do this. And good luck, O-line. You have those plays too. You got to hold up for one or two plays, but you can't do it over and over on third down. You got to have a game plan when you're going on the road versus that type of defense to set everybody up for success, not just your quarterback.
They're back home now for 2 weeks. They've got the Rams next and the Colts. The Rams were able to pull off the win yesterday. The Texans, I didn't get the opportunity to watch the game just yet. Sounds like they couldn't move the ball in the fourth quarter, really.
14-9. Texans couldn't score a touchdown. Rams were getting pressure. They ended up with 3 sacks from 3 different pass rushers and just shut down the Texans in the second half. Texans scoreless in the third and fourth quarters.
So you go from Denver to the L.A. defense, which has got a lot of promising young players on it that are overperforming, in a lot of cases, overperforming their draft pedigree, or in the case of Verse, living up to it as a reigning defensive rookie of the year. When you see the upcoming challenge of Los Angeles after seeing what they just did against Denver, understanding that you as players control whatever it is that you can control, what is your initial outlook on this Rams matchup for them?
Yeah, very similar in the front seven that we dealt with this week in Denver. Not as good in the secondary when you have your Surtain in Denver, and you're not playing on the road and have to deal with those environments. Yes, you're playing a good team. You're playing a good front. You're going to have to block good guys every week because those guys are paid, and that's why they're on the team. That's why they're playing. They're either rush the pass or stop the run. And most team has at least one or maybe 2. Some of them have a lot more. But yes, you're going to have some challenges this week on the offensive line, but at least you're at home. You got the snap count for you, and you got another week under your belt, and you should be better.
Should be better. We'll see if they end up being better.
Did you feel like watching that game? You've obviously played at Mile High Stadium. Did you feel like the environment had anything to do with the offensive performance?
Yeah, we're definitely, as an offensive line, you're late on some snaps. You're doing all that. You're off key. I give Cam his credit. You see him in the huddle. He's loud. He's precise. He's getting the play in and out. A lot of times, your first time in that environment as a rookie quarterback, you get a lot of delay of games. You get a lot of missed guys lining up wrong. I thought he operated well, and that shows you the kind of guy he is, the kind of guy they brought in. He's here for a reason. Like, he is the guy to take this organization to the next level. It's a reason why he went number 1, and they knew he was number 1 for a long time. Like, he's the right guy for him. You just got to put him in the right situation, get the right guys around him, and it's not a quick fix. Like, it's going to take time. It's going to build, but don't get him hurt in the process. Put him in a good situation, and, hey, it's going to be a learning curve for him because he is a rookie, but give him plays that he's successful. He knows what he's doing versus every coverage because every team's going to dial up a million blitzes, different coverages. Give him concepts that he's comfortable with on third down so he can get the ball out of his hand so he doesn't have to hold it and give up sacks.
And that was one of the things that they were talking about in the postgame locker room, Lucas, because we specifically talked to Lloyd Cushenberry, not just because he was playing his former team, but because of the operation. He was like, yeah, got a lot of confidence in Cam. Handled the situation as well as could be expected. We didn't do well enough around him, but, like, feel good about Cam.
Well, it's this weird dichotomy of being maybe the most encouraging aspect, just the way he handled himself from that game, but also the most frustrating, Ben, because they seem to have a quarterback now that's not going to do the things that directly lead to losses. That's not going to commit the sins himself. Yeah. But it's the other things that popped up all around him, even though they won in 2 of the 3 phases of the game. Like, you're just kind of trying to wrap your head around how they managed to put themselves in those situations with a quarterback that didn't put the ball in harm's way, an excellent defensive performance, and honestly, an excellent special teams performance. What more can you ask from special teams in terms of getting a turnover, getting you in position to score points? Johnny Hecker was fantastic with his directional punting. Joey Sly, perfect on his field goals. So it's this weird, frustrating, but also encouraging element taking away Cam's performance.
Yeah, you got to come in there and sell your program. This is a culture you got to build. Like, right now, the past couple of years, it is a losing culture. You got to change something. It's got to be different. You got to have some energy. You got to have the way you present stuff in the media, everything. You're selling yourself to this team right now as Callahan. Like, it's got to be, you got to have change. Like, we got to do something different. You can't keep giving us the same outcome over and over and expect something different. Like, something's got to change. Yes, you got a good quarterback. Now how are we going to win with him? Like, it's got to have a different feel, different culture. Like, I want more something out of it. Either he needs to be just blunt and, hey, it's my fault. Like, hey, I'm going to take all this on it. I need some answers.
It wasn't the tact last night. Let's get to Ann in Michigan before we let Ben Jones get on with his day. What's up, Ann?
Hi, friends. Ben, hello. I'm curious. I heard in the press conference, Callahan explicitly said that it took time for him to get certain plays into Cam, and some of them were late. What type of pressure does that put on Lloyd, on like a veteran center who's working with a young quarterback? He's trying to get the ball off. He's not failing in getting a ton of, delay of games, like you said, to your credit. And then you also have the knowledge of knowing that this coach is struggling with that while also making questionable decisions, not putting Gunner in successful positions with Nick Bonino. And then your coach comes out and doesn't know the rules. How does that lay on the shoulders of people who are veterans on the offense?
Thanks for the call, Ian.
Yeah, for us, we had transitioning from quarterbacks. We went to one-word play calls to get in and out the huddle. We went on the line and went no huddle and did it that way to take away and made the defense more vanilla. Like, find ways to set your quarterback up for success, not just get in the huddle every play. Give him a 2-minute play call in there because it's a lot. You can see how many words he's using in that huddle. It's not, they're going two-jet, Y-bang, X this. He's tagging every single route, everything for every receiver to get to the line. Like, that's hard to do in that kind of environment. It's loud. Everybody's got to hear it. Well, all you could have says like, hey, get on the ball, smash. Or like, hey, get on the ball, we're going to signal. Like, make it easy for that situation. They had all camp to prepare for this. Like, you're going with your rookie quarterback on the road. Like, you should be one-word play calls on the ball. If not, get the defense to vanilla as possible. Like, hey, third down this week, we're going to get on the ball. We're going second and long. We're going to go in a third down personnel group. We're going to run the ball or pass the ball on second down and stay in the same personnel. So you're going to see cover 4, cover 2, or cover 3. Take out all the blitz packages. Be vanilla on second down so you're good on third down. Like, have a game plan.
Aren't you glad we spent all the time talking about the Titans and not Georgia and Austin Peay?
Go Dogs.
Now let's do some of that.
Thank you, Ben. We appreciate you hanging out with us. That's Ben Jones. We'll continue to take your phone calls. Don't worry, we'll get some more Titans player analysis when Brett Kern joins us in studio for the noon hour. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We know Jelly Roll was watching the Titans yesterday. I got a text from Jelly in Paris trying to figure out where he could stream the Tennessee Titans game yesterday because he wanted to be glued to the television watching Cam Ward's NFL debut, season opening game in Mile High against the Denver Broncos from across the Atlantic Ocean, and all to be greeted with that. Because I saw he put out an inspirational or a motivational message on his Instagram page that the team then screenshotted and posted as well. So I'm not sure how the one of the most famous Titans fans is feeling today. I haven't touched base with him since then, but I know that the fan base around him is probably a little irritated based on the way that the callers have interacted with today. Brett Kern will join us in studio. Well, Brett's here, but we're going to give him a few more minutes before we get him going on everything else that we've been talking about today. I think Ben's perspective on the way that the offense, at least the offense, was not putting players in positions to succeed is important. Like, that's the kind of context that we require today. And I think it justifies how upset people are. Like, it gives additional context to why people are why they got it wrong and why people should be as upset as they are today.
Yeah, it's certain moments of getting kind of away from the general game plan that I think has people scratching their heads, right? That led to some of their worst moments. When they're in the red zone for the field goal drive that comes up short, the goal-to-go situation, they're keeping it on the ground. They run out of downs. They kick the chip shot field goal. And it felt like that was kind of setting a tone for how the Titans were going to play football in Denver. That is the way to win. Right? And it's not what Brian Callahan was hired for. He was hired to be the QB guru so they could finally push the ball downfield and all these things. But that felt like the quickest path to winning the game. But backed up in the shadow of your own goalpost and getting away from that, where situationally you have a chance there to milk the clock and go into halftime up 6-3. Instead, you go in down 10-9. And then the fourth quarter moment of dropping back and looking for that chunk play when you're starting the drive on the 24. And to Ben's point, you can have no gain, and you still take a lead on that drive and come away with a 1-point lead in Denver in the fourth quarter. Like, just think about that, framing that possibility. As bad as some of the things that happened were in the first half, you could have been up in Denver in week one. If you told any Titans fan that in the lead up to the week, they're going to have a fourth quarter lead. I don't want to say you almost don't say, oh, they better finish it, but I feel like most Titans fans be like, okay.
Moral victory.
Great. Whatever happens, we've got something to build on. And they do have things to build on. Like, there is a foundation there built by the defense, by special teams, which just plagued them constantly last year. But unfortunately, the sins are the headline, and there's no other way to kind of shake it when you talk about this game.
Let me hear from Brian Callahan about sins. Those are self-inflicted negatives. That was the whole messaging around the offseason, the mitigation or the elimination of sins. Yesterday was a sinful performance.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed in that. I didn't obviously foresee that being the reason that would make the game really challenging. So, yeah, disappointed. I thought we would be better than we were, and we weren't. So we got some things to clean up, and we got to get ready to go for the next one.
Some things to clean up. My brother in Christ, you had 13 penalties for 131 yards. Bleep off.
I mean, those are some things to clean up, are they not?
Clean up. God.
I mean, that's another one that, okay, I mean, in that moment, like, Brian Callahan said plenty of things wrong the other day, but in that moment, what else is he supposed to say? Yeah, some things to clean up. 13 penalties for 131 yards. Like, at what point are we just slamming everything he's saying?
Everything that he says gets slammed when you lose the way that he lost.
I understand, but there are certain things that I think deserve more attentive criticism as opposed to, yeah, we've got some things to clean up. Like,
but
yes,
just,
that
Lucas,
is a very
in
factual
the press
statement.
conference, it felt like a shoulder shrug. We've got some things to clean up. We did a lot of good things. Like what every coach says in every press conference ever, win or lose, did some things well, did some things not well enough. But like, to your point, they didn't have a game. They were fourth in the league in penalties last year. 55 of those penalties of the 132 that they had were pre-snap. They never had a game where they had that many penalties in a single performance. They had 133 offensive yards, net offensive yards. They had lost 131 yards due to penalty.
No, they haven't committed 131 yards worth of penalties since Brett Kern and Ben Jones were playing for the Titans, and that was in 2021 in an overtime game.
No, I was going to ask Brett if he remembered that game.
Not that long ago, which was actually a win, by the way, an overtime win against the Colts in 2021. But the last time, and Nick Suss had this, that game went to overtime. Nick Suss had this. The last time the Titans committed 131 yards worth of penalties was in 2008. So Ben Jones certainly wasn't in the league. Brett, you were coming into the league? 2008. Oh, what week? What week? Let me see. I'll open up Nick's Tennessean article.
615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go back to the phones. Will in Nashville.
Hey, guys. I really don't like to be that fan that's armchair coaching or quarterbacking and, trying to figure out what plays we should run. But between the sequence before halftime, the not challenging the catch with the elbow, I found that little voice in the back of my head yesterday going, man, do I have more situational awareness than Brian Callahan? And that does not give me a lot of confidence for the rest of the season. I don't just want an apology from him in this presser. I fully expect a really dang good one. I'm curious what y'all would want to hear from Callahan in this presser that would build any, if at all, confidence in him moving forward.
Oh, man.
It's kind of a no-win situation for him in terms of what he could say.
There's nothing you can say to justify yesterday.
Feels like the only thing he can do, none of us are PR majors, but would be to say, I have to be better. We have to be better, right? I don't know what else there is.
No, for sure. Because we are so sick of 3 years of, I have to be better, we have to be better. And I know Brian Callahan's only the coach for last year, but I'm just saying, on aggregate, Titans fans are carrying baggage that people who have been hired and fired and cycled through for this organization the last 4 years the way that they haven't had to deal with, right? Cam Ward comes in unburdened from 3-14 last year. Brian Callahan isn't responsible for 7 straight losses in 2022, the way that those Titans coaching staffs and rosters work. But the fan base feels it every time you turn them on, and they poop themselves this way. There's nothing that he can say to you that's going to make you feel better today. All they can do is show you with their actions that it will never happen again. The fact that we have done this 18 times and they find ways to lose spectacularly in a great many of them, all but 3 of the games that he has coached as the leader of this franchise, it is not encouraging. That's why my entire thing this offseason, and we'll have more time for calls in the final hour, my entire thing this offseason was you don't trust them until they earn it. Yesterday was not a step in the right direction of earning your trust back as an organization, as a coaching staff, or otherwise. Brett Kern in studio for the final hour and Brian Callahan's press conference. Must listen radio coming up next.
It is 12:04. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans started the season 0-1 with a 20-12 loss at the Denver Broncos Sunday at Mile High Stadium. Titans forced 4 turnovers on the day, but only turned them into 6 points, struggling to move the football with only 30 total yards in the second half. And the Titans committed plenty of penalties that held them back as well, 13 for 131 yards. Brian Callahan will meet with the media coming up at 12:30. You can hear that live right here on The Zone. The AP poll came out on Sunday after week 2 of the college football season. Tennessee moving up to 15 after their win over ETSU. Florida fell out of the rankings after the upset loss against USF. Vanderbilt still unranked despite a road win over Virginia Tech. Tennessee back home this weekend to host Georgia. College game day will be in Knoxville. Week 1 wraps up tonight in Chicago on Monday Night Football. Ben Johnson making his coaching debut for the Bears. They host the Vikings for an NFC North battle. J.J. McCarthy taking his first regular season snap at quarterback for Minnesota. Kickoff at 7:15, and you can hear Westwood One coverage right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is upon us. Brett Kern is in studio. Titans lose 20-12 at the Denver Broncos. Week 1 underway. If you'd have told a Titans fan they would have lost 20-12, you'd have said, oh, suck it, Buck. You were wrong. They didn't get shelled. They covered. They weren't as bad as you thought they were going to be. No, they just found different ways to be bad in ways that I did not expect, which is always nice to have a fresh set of topics to talk about, but not in this particular sense. What a mess. Brett Kern in with us now, as he will be every Monday. Him and Ben Jones making us smarter in the final 2 hours of the show. Hi, bud.
What's going on?
How are you?
I know what's going on.
Yeah, it's lovely to welcome you and Ben into our hostile Monday after Titans games environment, because it is a little bit of a different speed than the offseason program.
This one hurts a little bit more, though. This one's tough.
So, because of what you talked about on Friday, does this one hurt a little more? And perhaps the audience didn't catch all of Brett Kern, which, of course, you can listen to the podcast after the fact, or you can watch us back on YouTube if you're so inclined. Maybe refresh for the audience the topics that we covered on Friday leading into the Titans' first game.
I think one of the things I hinted on was penalties, and I know that's been talked about, but 16 flags against the Titans. Obviously, 13 of them were accepted for a lot of yards, and you come out with Denver's penalties and how many that they have, because they had some costly ones too. That hurt some of thetheir drives, but
they ended up with 6 for 45 yards.
Right, so that puts the Titans at negative 86. Right, and we talk about hitting yardage. You got 1 sack for 10. We got 6 for 50. You add 40. I know I did go to Toledo, but that's 126 yards that you lost in hidden field position. And especially in a game where your defense was, I'm not going to say dominating, but, we talked in prior shows about, can this defense help create turnovers? And they did, right? Defense got 3. You get 1 on special teams, which that might be the only turnover that special teams gets the whole season. And to get field position where they did, the 4 turnovers, right? If 4 turnovers, what do you think their average starting field position was on those 4 turnovers?
Just on the turnovers?
Just on the 4 turnovers.
Plus territory, right?
Plus.
I'm going to say the 34.
That's pretty good.
37.
Yeah, 35.5.
Whoa.
4 turnovers that you get, and yes, they finished +2 in the turnover margin, but really at that time, the last one with Cam, trying to make a play. Okay, so really your +3 at that point gives you 91% chance to win the game, right? But then we talk about the big 3, right? You lose the quarterback rating, and the defense did an unbelievable job, because if I'm in Denver and you're talking about Bo Nix and that offense, the Titans defense made them look sus at best, right? And so, but you lose the rushing battle. Couldn't run the ball. There were times, like there was a time, where Pollard ripped off a 9-yarder, 8-yarder, 6-yarder, and I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Here's something. But yeah, they lose the big 3, right? You win their turnover margin, but you lose the big 3, and when that happens in years past, that's 86% chance to lose. So that kind of negated the turnovers, and it's just but the penalties. 6 on D, 4 on offense, 3 on special teams, and there's one. DK did an excellent job on a ball that's normally a fair catch. Crenshaw did a great job, put some hang time on it, but DK made the first man miss, gets out to the 20, and then there's a penalty on Williams. It brings him back to the 10. So it just those penalties they kill so much rhythm, and it's just obviously the Titans are not good enough. Philadelphia was second. I think they had 9 penalties for 110 yards, right? But Philly's different. They got the players and the talent to overcome a night like that penalty-wise, but the Titans...
Yeah, and one of those was spitting.
Before the game. I'll be curious to see what that suspension is here. Probably coming out this week at some point.
I would assume Tuesday at the latest is when we would probably have some news on that.
Yeah, they only play the Chiefs in week 2.
Can I, Robert, if I could hear from Brian Callahan on the end of the first half in this game where with a 6-3 lead, they decide that is the moment that they are going to get aggressive as a passing offense. And so they decide to throw the ball 3 straight times with 47 seconds and 2 timeouts at their disposal. They throw 2 incompletions. Cam Ward is sacked on the 3rd. It's damn near a safety. They're lucky it wasn't a safety.
Yeah.
I don't know how, we haven't talked about that, how Cam managed to avoid the safety.
And he got the ball out of the end zone, to his credit.
He got his knee down out of the end zone. Like, that was
game of inches.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's being driven back into the end zone. He does well to keep himself out of it. But let's play for Brett Kern, who I know has heard this audio before, but for the audience that may just be joining us in the noon hour, the head coach explaining the confounding sequence at the end of the first half of this game.
Yeah, I was trying to be aggressive and see if I can get the ball moved out from underneath there, and we've kind of gotten a little bit of rhythm, so trying to take advantage of some momentum potentially, and it didn't really work out in our favor in that point.
Is that worst case scenario to have them turn around and score a touchdown the way that they did?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, it's a wild swing in the end of the first half that I was, tough to overcome those when you put yourself in that spot. And again, trying to be aggressive, see if we can get the ball moving back forward the other way a little bit, and didn't really work out for us.
So Brian Callahan talking about the end of that. So obviously, Brett, not ideal to be backed up in your own end zone, but like in a game like this, you reserve the right to punt.
Yes, especially knowing, with prior coaches, it was very adamant for myself. The stat is inside the 20, but really you're shooting for inside the 10, because when a team starts inside the 10, for them to get a field goal, right, and in Denver it might be skewed just maybe 1% or 2, but just to get a field goal, you're looking at 7 to 8%, right? That you talk about worst case scenario, like that's what happened. And so I don't know who's in Callahan's ear telling him these things, right? But I'm just saying, you run the ball, burn a timeout, run the ball, burn a timeout, right? And then you let the 40-second play clock, like that's the half. And now you're up 6-3 going into halftime thinking, guys, we're up. This is a dogfight, but we're up 6-3. Like, I know that doesn't sound great. It's a baseball score, but you're winning in Denver in the opener, and you have momentum going in the half knowing that you're leading. And instead, it's just, if the Titans were to get the ball at the 30, I can understand that, right? But to punt to Marvin Mims backed up, knowing that guy, he averaged, he had 4 returns, 47 yards, 11.7, right? That's better than what he did with his 15-7 last year, right? But still, even if you're punting from the 10-yard line, right, and in Denver, it doesn't take much. It does not take much. He get 10 yards, and you're automatically in field goal position. So if that's the case, if you're trying to avoid points at all, if you're thinking just field goal, let alone a touchdown, you got to run the clock out.
And you open the second half with a takeaway, too. You talk about momentum. Up 3 into halftime, Roger McCreary interception right at the beginning of the third quarter.
Hell of a pick by Roger, by the way. Like, there were good things in this game that I'm dying to talk about.
His first interception since the 2023 season.
You could tell Cam was kind of letting that thing wanting to come into his body, and Roger goes up there and high points it. Like, that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Combat catch.
And he brought it down. And so, like I said, the defense, Big Jeff, what he was able to do, with the pressures, he's getting double teamed and, strip sack and, his pressure on the one led to another interception, for Woods, and great starting field position again. And so the defense did a lot of great things. And, to be able to go into half up 6-3, like, what does that do for Bo Nix, right? Mentally, you could tell he was frustrated. Even earlier in the game, He's yelling at the sidelines, had to call a timeout, like, get the play in. Like, things were not in rhythm, in full sync for them either. And so I think to be able to take advantage of that, to be up 6-3 at half and in a home crowd, I mean, you were there, Buck. They were booing.
Oh, yeah.
They were booing.
No, they were hot. They were hot about it.
When you have expectations of, we made the playoffs last year. This is our year. We're going to take down the Chiefs. We're going to take down the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to win this division, and we're going to go far into the playoffs. Like, this defense is built to win a championship, right? And you're getting booed. Like, you have to take advantage of that, especially when you're on the road week 1.
Again, you bring up preparation under previous coaching staffs, and I for the sake of Titans fans, I am also tired of Mike Vrabel era callbacks. But John Stryker, Stretch. The importance of Stretch, who is Mike Vrabel's right-hand man, who went with Sean McVay in the year that Mike was out of football, now back in New England, and is getting Boston Globe think pieces written about him. And I know the Patriots lost yesterday, but for you as a player, the value of John Stryker in a game leading up and the preparation that he would do with you and the depth of knowledge that that person had to make sure that you would avoid adverse situations in game.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have a Friday meeting. It'd be a half hour, 45 minutes just on these kind of things. And so, like, his preparation, the sheets that he had, and there's other people up there, too, that are watching the replay. Like, I mean, you saw Sean Payton yesterday. He threw that red flag multiple times, right? Because I know he's probably got at least somebody, if not 2, maybe 3 people that are up there watching the replay, telling him what to do. Then you have another guy that has all the, hey, when do we go for 2? When should we go for on 4th down? Analytics, all that kind of stuff. Situations, right? End of the half situations, all that kind of stuff. And so that person is extremely important because Coach Callahan can't remember all that stuff, right? He's calling plays, right? He's trying to manage a team. That's the last thing he needs to be thinking about is, hey, was his elbow down? What's the rule? I'm not sure. Like, someone in his earpiece needs to be telling him, hey, man, his elbow was down. That's a catch. Challenge it, right? Even if Coach Callahan doesn't really know the rules officially, right? He should, but if he doesn't, that person that is in his earpiece should know every single rule, every situation, analytics, you name it, when to go for it, when not to, punt, not punt, all this kind of stuff, right? And you even look at Denver's play, like they had that 4th down. Look, you throw it to Franklin, yeah, he was open, but did you see how open Sutton was?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
No, the Broncos media next to me sitting there were pulling their hair out.
Right, but that's another situation where you're thinking, okay, if we go for a field goal, it gets blocked, return for a touchdown, worst case, right? We go out there, we have a block, Bones comes up with some kind of rush, blocked, they might get the ball past midfield, maybe blocked, return for a touchdown, worst case scenario. Here's this situation. We have this play dialed up that we've been working on, and it would have worked, right? If Bo Nix throws it to Cam Sutton, that's 7. That's a touchdown.
Or Cortland Sutton.
Sutton.
I've made that same mistake, too.
Yeah, and it's a touchdown. So they had that play dialed. You see Sean, he's talking to Rizzy, right? He's talking to Vance Joe. They are literally having a meeting as quick as they can about the situation. Boom, boom, decision. Let's do this, right? And so I think that's why it's so important. I don't know who is Coach Callahan's earpiece, right? I even think when Jeff Fisher was coaching, it was Coach Mack. You can ask him about it, right? You have veteran guys that have been coaches, understand all these situations, and they know when to make these calls to help them out. Because like I said, Callahan cannot make every decision so quick out there. You need the people to be in your earpiece to help you out.
So the Io Manor elbow catch that they didn't challenge would have been a deep ball. That was 1st and 20, third quarter, 2:52 left in the third quarter. Titans are down by 1. That's a deep ball to Io Manor. It was after they got backed up by a holding on J.C. Latham. And that puts you in Broncos territory. And ifs and buts, candy and nuts, as Coach Mack says. But it puts you in position to have a chance to kick a field goal. If you hit that field goal, you're up by 2, heading into the fourth quarter, and then the muffed punt happens.
Right.
So you're talking about a situation, Brett, where you could be up by 2 if, and again, it's an if the Io Manor play is challenged, it goes in favor of the Titans. They're in Broncos territory. Joey Sly's got a cannon of a leg. He drilled that 50-yarder like it was nothing on Sunday.
Right.
So you'd be up by 2 in the fourth quarter and then getting the ball on the Denver 24. And obviously that was another situation that the Titans did not manage well. But just thinking about that possibility of being up 2 in that moment, getting the ball, and even just getting a field goal, having to settle there, getting the ball knocking on the door of the red zone, and you're up by 5 in the fourth quarter at Mile High Stadium, forcing the Denver Broncos to need a touchdown to beat you after a dreadful day offensively.
Right, and then that's I think that's the hardest part is knowing that that's what it could have been. Not saying it would have been, right? If, just because if they're losing, all of a sudden, Sean Payton and his the playbook that he had. I mean, that sheet is massive that he had over there. I mean, that takes a special laminator to be able to laminate that thing. But all his play calls, you don't know. Like, okay, is he going into a different section of his playbook? Now that we're down 2, all that kind of stuff, right? So there's a lot of ifs to all that. But still, the fact that, that's what it could have been, to be up 5 that late in the game, and the way the defense was playing as well, that's tough. That's really tough. And I think that's why it makes today just tough. It's hard.
How good was Johnny Hekker in this game, though? Because to your point, you can see John Bones Fossil's fingerprints all over special teams in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, the special teams, to come out and respond the way that they did, DK had that punt return, and it doesn't seem like much, but like I said, if that's a fair catch on the 7, the percentages of scoring points, right, compared to getting it out to the 20, is huge. That little 13-yard field position, that's a first down for Cam. To respond with a 71-yard kickoff return, huge, right? That's what you want to see. But then for Hekker, really his only mistake was when he had a punt, probably when he was taking holds from Morgan Cox, or maybe he's helping out Joey Sly in the kicking net. And the next thing you know, he looks over, he's like, well, shoot, I got a punt. I've been there before. It is mentally, you're like, wait a second, we were just in field goal range. Why are we going out here to punt? And so mentally, you're not maybe locked in as much as you should. You're locked in on field goal rather than punt. But I mean, he had the one touchback, and you take that away. I mean, to keep Marvin Mims in check, with 11.7, man, they played well.
Frustrating. 615-737-1045, the number. Brett Kern in studio. Brian Callahan's press conference in about 12 minutes. Provided these on time, it'll be in 12 minutes. Let's go to Chuck in Orlando. We've gotten calls from all over the country today. What's up, Chuck?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
What you got?
Today? Man, nothing much. Just a couple of observations. I was going to touch on some things, but everybody done repeated them ad nauseum. But one thing I did notice is everything that in the off season, I didn't really see that translate as far as trying to do this kind of some of the same things he was doing in college, and then I didn't see no switch bursts, or we ain't doing no window dressing and none of that. I didn't really see any of that translate. So tell me if I'm wrong. Did I miss anything? Just tell me what y'all think, fellas.
No, I'd say that's one of the bigger frustrations about today is this. It's the stuff that they spent so much time emphasizing.
Yeah.
It's the thing that they, and listen, he's an easy target today, and he is the target today, Brian Callahan. But I don't believe him to be disingenuous or not thoughtful or thorough or any of these things. Like, I understand that these are really, really hard jobs, but you got to show that you're worthy of them at some point. And he has not covered himself in glory at any point, really, throughout the course of this. In fact, he's given you more and more examples to the opposite effect to say, oh, are you capable? Are you guys in totality, you and your staff, the people that you have surrounded yourself with to support you in this effort to run an NFL franchise or to be the CEO of an NFL franchise, have you done it correctly? Are you adequately prepared for the responsibility of this? Because guys' livelihoods, guys' jobs, guys' playtime, guys' opportunities, guys' health is all involved, all caught up in the middle of all of this. And it's just such a mess to see what it becomes and what it must do to a locker room when you feel like you can't buy in on what a guy who's supposed to be leading you is trying to sell.
Yeah, it's tough just because, we're as players, you're held to a very high standard accountability. And I think that also needs to happen with coaches as well. Sometimes it does. And usually those are the teams that, when I was in Philly with Coach Sirianni, I mean, we'd start a team meeting and he would just raise his hand, guys, this is where I screwed up. Right. And it kind of became funny. Like, it was kind of a joking type, but he was serious. Like, guys, I messed that up and I need to get better at this. Right. And so you like to see that because coaches aren't perfect either. And so, I think Ben was talking about it earlier. It was like, this is going to be a really tough team meeting this morning. They probably already had it. They probably already had a lift, all that kind of stuff, watch film. But, to be preaching all these kind of things and then for something like this to happen, it's tough. And so there needs to be a level of accountability for obviously the guys, but also for him as a head coach and the mistakes that he makes. And so we'll see kind of what comes down with this presser, just kind of how he explains everything that happened. And unfortunately, like Ben said, like the criticism, like it wasn't even necessary. I think the response to that question, about challenging, because he made a challenge later in the game in the fourth quarter, right, on a spot of the ball, and it turned out to be fourth down. Like, they were right. It was fourth down, and then T. Sweat just wrecking ball, and they don't get the QB sneak, right? So, like, yeah, great. Awesome. That was a great challenge. But, it's tough. It's tough, like, as a player, because, like, you want to trust your coach. You want to trust the things that he's doing, and the guys that are in the leadership position making the decisions. And so, his response to that question is just, he didn't have to just, hey, look, it was like I had the next play call ready to go, and we couldn't tell if his elbow was in or not, right? And you just move on. But
don't tell me the wrong version of the rule.
Yeah, that's just say that it didn't feel like it was clear and obvious, right? And
yeah,
just keep
it's kind of like when they changed the overtime rules. All that's how many of those NFL coaches are like, I don't know the NFL rules.
Sure.
Right. And so I'm just telling you that there are coaches.
The Super Bowl, there were players that didn't know that
there are
we
coaches,
get the ball.
Yeah, there are coaches that, don't know the full. That's a thick rule book. It is large. And that's why the people that you have upstairs that are in direct communication with him, they have to know everything, all the rules. So that way, just like I said, it takes a little bit of pressure off Callie to make sure that he's getting everything right.
That was not the case yesterday. Brian Callahan at the podium, Brett Kern in studio. All of that coming up next. Trajan Wealth is here to help you with financial independence. If that's something that you're struggling with, if you've been through that before, you know how frustrating it can be. You know how annoying, how much sleep it can cost you if you don't feel like you've got that full financial independence. And that's exactly what Trajan Wealth is here to help you do. As a veteran, Trajan Wealth CEO Jeff Jr. fully appreciates the importance of true independence. He founded Trajan Wealth as an independent firm, allowing fiduciary advisors the ability to customize a portfolio to meet your unique goals and needs. So call Trajan Wealth today to discuss those options for achieving financial independence and just breathe a little easier. Their number, 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000. 2 locations in Brentwood and Franklin, or online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We are waiting for Brian Callahan at the podium, but the audience is asking for a Robert Walsh wellness check, and I said I don't want to press him today because yesterday was a traumatic situation, but Brett wants to try and bring a little Friday fire to Robert Walsh, potentially. Robert, are you ready for this?
No, that's okay.
That Friday fire was...
It has been extinguished, Brett.
It's out.
It's all right.
Coach Mack loves you. We might need Coach Mack to call in and rekindle that Friday fire again.
No, it's okay, unless Coach Mack wants to come coach my team.
That was unsuccessful.
Brett's like, can I try and make him laugh?
I mean, he got a compliment and a very nice, loving compliment from one of the most outstanding human beings that America has to offer. And it's already been extinguished.
Yeah, well, that's
the power of sports.
Hey, man, the nature of football is soul crushing. Like, when you win those highs, it's tough to beat that feeling.
Yeah.
When you witness a Derrick Henry 4-touchdown game against the Jacksonville Jaguars and you can say, I was on the sideline or I was in the press box or I was in the stands for a game like that, you get to be a part of one of those moments. There's few things better, but there are so many more losses.
What do you think Younghoe Koo's social media direct messages are like after missing a game?
44-yarder. Would have been a game. Would have sent it to overtime.
I've been, I've been around, with Goskowski and, social media and people wanting payments for fantasy football and bets lost.
they want you to Venmo them?
Oh, Venmo, not quite death threats, but just stuff that's...
There's some stuff out there.
It's bad.
Boswell, though.
The Boz.
Drilling that 60-yarder.
Hey, I tell you what, the new rule, I was talking to this with Suckup, because normally your K-balls, Matt Thompson over the Titans, you get about an hour.
Goat, by the way, Matt Thompson.
Yes, one of the best football scrubbers in this country. But he, an hour before the game, you get 3 K-balls, and you have to scrub them in. And when I tell you scrub them, he is drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
His hands are pink from the dye. His shirt is pink. He kicks the footballs in the shower against the wall to try to break them in. And so
I want this job. This is awesome.
You know who Matt Thompson is, right? You've definitely seen Matt. Practice,
And so that was the old rule, and now apparently they've changed it to where you can now get K-balls on Monday. And so you can break them in all week, which my guess, Ryan and I were talking about it, that's probably going to add at least 5 to 7 yards on field goals.
Yeah.
So seeing Boz's kick, a 60-yarder, that was good. That thing was good from 70.
Yeah.
It was halfway up the uprights. With the fresh ball, I think he makes it, by 3-4 yards.
Steelers win.
I'd be curious to see how that shapes out with that new rule for the kickers this year.
It's trickling down, too. Like, special teams, where we are as a society. Like, Brett, I did a game 10 days ago and watched Brentwood Academy's backup kicker from the year prior, now the starter, drill a 59-yarder like it was nothing. Tommy Vaccaro at BA. He backed up London Baronis last year.
Yeah, he was at Stanford.
Yeah, he was at Stanford now. So but that 59-yarder matched his career high because last year he came in for a game.
Yep.
He was the number 2 coming in for London in a game and drilled a 59-yarder. A backup kicker at the high school level, hitting a 59-yard field goal. Like, that's where we are as a football society now with special teams. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, when I was coming out, of high school, I mean, maybe 20% of colleges, D1 colleges, were giving scholarships to kickers, punters, and snappers. Now you're looking at, hey, if you're a kicker and you're good and you're at a Power 5, you're making $250. And so, you got some of these soccer kids that it's hard to get a full ride, the D1 level for soccer, and there's not as many programs. Well, why not go try to kick a football and see if I can get a scholarship, first of all, and then go make some change while I'm doing it. And so that's definitely added to a lot more fish in the pond with kids out there in the talent level. Just better athletes that are starting to kick footballs. So that's I can't imagine, being in high school, being a backup kicker and knowing that you can hit a 59-yarder and you're, well, who am I behind? Well, I'm behind London Baronis, and he's also going to Stanford. So
the FNMA chat, by the way, is discovering that there's a young Baronis out there kicking at Stanford, just waiting for him to come to the Titans.
What a sick name, by the way, London Baronis.
He's a lefty. I remember, I just remember all the conversations that I had with Rob with our time together and London. Just to see him and the success that he's had, and obviously to get a full scholarship and being out there at Stanford is pretty special.
Shout out James Wilhoit over at Brentwood Academy, kicking coach at VFL, has helped a lot of kickers in the area. Worked with you guys a little bit with the Titans, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there for a little bit.
Brian Callahan is scheduled at 12:30, but obviously that's not been the case.
It's more time with me.
Well, no, that's fine. I mean, we're happy to have you, but Brett, I'm more frustrated by this kind of stuff. Obviously, when they lose, like the timeliness of press conferences is not the most important thing in the world. It does not win or lose you football games, but like
it's a sign of respect.
He was and I'm not going to do the media thing where like respect our time, like this, that, and the other, whatever.
But it is your time.
But this is about the fans today. The fans need to hear you today.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be at that podium at 12:30. You need to be at the podium within. I mean, it took us 20 minutes to get him up there last night. And Brett, I think the thing that bothered me the most was that he didn't feel adequately prepared for the obvious questions that we were going to ask him about the situations that he was in. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's I don't think that's all on him. If the PR staff was coaching him up last night, somebody did a poor job. Like this, he was not ready for the moment in that specific situation. So it's not about respecting our time or the radio show's time or whatever. Today is about respect for your fan base.
Yeah.
They have to hear you be accountable. And the fact that we're almost 7 minutes past the time, like this is just the kind of stuff that adds to the annoyance of what this experience has been. Maybe I'm nitpicking.
I understand.
Yeah. If we need to fill, Georgia is now a 3.5-point favorite over Tennessee.
Okay.
Will that be one of the pick'ems?
He wants to talk about his picks. He's texting me about his college picks.
I tell you what, I would have gone 5-0. We didn't forgot to cover the Michigan-Oklahoma game, but
That's
Oklahoma was, I think they were, Michigan was getting 5.5, and I had Oklahoma on my sheet. But,
did you hear Lane Kiffin apologize to the gamblers?
Well, I'm one of them.
Interviews.
I don't gamble, but if we want to start, Brett's bets, and you want to wager $1 on these games,
Brett's bets, I like that. It's got a ring to it.
Please don't do that. don't make me responsible for your betting.
Well, why don't I take a phone call in the meantime while we await Brian Callahan's press
We
conference?
reserve the right to cut out this phone call.
Sorry, Jeremy, if we have to bail on you, but I don't know if the coach is going to show up or not. Jeremy, go ahead.
Yeah, brother. To your point, Buck, we need him on that wall. To use my example I used to our boy Bert. Who ordered the code red? Was it he's laying off that? Oh well, they didn't up in the box. They told me we didn't have the accountability. We didn't know. I used accountability too early, but we didn't know if he was in bounds or not. And then state the rule and state it wrong. Was it him that told them? That didn't know the rule, or was it the people up top that didn't know the rule? So, to use my example, who ordered the code red? Who was the one who's really is accountable here? You know what I mean? So that's something we need to know. Because if the coach doesn't know the rules, for one, what kind of support do we have behind him? That's not backing this guy up. So simple point. I'll get off here. Appreciate y'all's time. Love you guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jeremy.
I think that would be my concern is who are the people
around him.
Because like I said, Callie's trying to manage a team. He's trying to manage the offense, play calling, getting ready for the next play. Someone is upstairs, whether it's one person, two people, three people. And this is something you could ask Coach Mack, someone that's been a head coach in this league. How many people do you have, or how many people should you have that have the capability of getting in your headset to tell you these things. So, like I said, it's like you want to get mad at Callie for this and his explanation, but if he's got somebody in his earpiece telling him that rule, that's a problem.
I guess we're going to take a break. He's 9 minutes late. We'll try and hear from the head coach next. Brett, appreciate you stopping by.
Okay, could be fun. Thanks, car ride home.
Uh-huh. Two Rivers Ford is the South's most trusted Ford dealer. They go above and beyond to make the car buying process fast, easy, and more fun. I've been a Two Rivers customer for 10 years, but they've been in business for over 4 decades, making sure that millions of Middle Tennesseans get the best car buying experience possible. Their sales staff does not work on commission, so there's no pressure on you. That's why they are the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Competitive prices and award-winning customer service, quality American-made Ford vehicles at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com.
Those some positives that I'd like to point out to start here. One of them would be, we had 4 rookie starters in that game, which was good. Those guys did a good job. I was excited to see them perform and it not be too big for them. I was really pleased with a lot of the things that Cam did in the game, which is really important. He operated well. He managed the game. There's definitely some things he's going to learn from that I think are going to be really critical for his jump from week 1 to week 2. But the operation and handling the environment and his poise was really impressive. So that part was.
Brian Callahan is at the podium. We go live to Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park.
Could have resulted in some potential big plays for us that we didn't connect on. We got to clean those things up. I think we had some opportunities to be smarter with the ball when it came to the sacks and things of that nature in the fringe areas. Got to do a better job there. We'll get that fixed. I had 4 takeaways on defense, 3 on defense and 1 on special teams, which led the NFL this week. So that emphasis was good to see to come out of that with some production on the ball, which was great. Got to do a better job complementing those things offensively and finding ways to get 7 points out of those instead of 3. And then one of them we didn't get any out of. So we got to find a better rhythm offensively to complement those particular ones. Situationally, we have to be better. I have to be better. There was definitely things that we got to improve on there. Some of the third downs, we spent most of the day in 3rd and 7+, 3rd and 10+. Against that defense, and that was one of the key parts to our ability to win, was to stay on track in those moments, and we didn't do a good enough job of that offensively overall. Tough environment on the road against a good football team. I thought our guys battled. I think we played with great effort, but you win by doing the small things, and I think ultimately we didn't do enough of those things over the course of the game, particularly when it came to the penalties. Those were a couple of them inexcusable. We can't have them if we want to win football games in this league. And it wasn't that part we got to get cleaned up for sure, and we'll be better there. And again, I know you guys are all here for the conversation about the play with Ellick and challenging the play and what I said after the game. And look, ultimately, my interpretation of the rule was wrong. I'll own it. We should have challenged the play, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. Is I'll own the mistake. Should have challenged it, and that's where it stands. So other than that, you guys can go ahead.
With that being said, obviously there are other people who may have been able to tell you, hey, go ahead and challenge that. What happened there?
That process and how those things get relayed, I'll keep those in-house. But I'm the head coach of the football team, and my job is to make those decisions. And I didn't do a good enough job in that moment. I should have challenged it, and it probably would have resulted in a potential explosive play. So should have challenged the play.
But your interpretation of it being incorrect, the interpretation of Rob in your ear is also incorrect. He's there to correct you or counsel you, and he's also not getting it right in the moment, correct?
Again, I should have challenged the play, and the communication and how those things happened are all part of the process that we got to do a better job of overall. But I'm in charge of that, and I didn't do a good enough job there. So, again, I should have challenged the play.
Do you talk to players about that, and what do you want them to take from that?
Yeah, I think what they should take from is the same thing I asked from them too, is to take accountability for a mistake or for a play that they didn't make or needed to make or didn't do right, and make it right. And I think that's my job as a head coach, and I'll make it right.
You touched on Cam. What were some of the things that you liked about him most, and some of the things he's got to do better at moving forward?
Yeah, the things that I liked about him most was just the poise in the environment as a rookie in his first start against that defense. And he was under some duress, and I thought he did a good job protecting the football. He managed the protections. He managed some difficult third downs. Would have liked to see us help him a little more around him. We dropped, I think, 4 or 5 passes that would have helped us a lot. Would have made the day feel a little bit different, I think, had we connected on a few of those. His ability to manage the protection game was really impressive for a young player. I thought that was really encouraging. And then he never got rattled at any point, even though it wasn't certainly our best performance offensively. His ability to continue to battle and stand in there was impressive. And I think we're going to be a lot better for it. There's a lot of things situationally for him, those fringe areas. Him and I, both from a play caller and a quarterback, got to do a better job of making sure we put ourselves in a better position. And not get knocked out of those. We did, twice, I think, get knocked out of some range there that we got to do a better job. So it was a good learning experience for me with Cam and a real thing, calm plays for him in a live environment. But all the things that came out of it, I'm really encouraged by and excited about.
Coach in the NFL, that play's been around for a long time. And
hold on. Go ahead, John. Start over.
Yeah, on the Iron Manor play, I mean, that rule has been in effect for a long time. I guess in retrospect, are you surprised yourself that you didn't know the correct interpretation of that rule?
Yeah, I think I got a little more clarity on it now at this point. At the end of the day, those things happen really fast, and you're starting to get ready for the next play call, and you're waiting on information from what the look looks like. And look, I misspoke on it after the game, and I'll own that. I'm aware of the rules. I understand the rules. Just again, a mistake that I made that I gotta correct, just like I'd ask our players to.
So you say that you misspoke yesterday, but at that time you knew that 1 elbow equaled 2 feet.
Say that one more time.
So yesterday when you misspoke on the rule, you did know at that point that 1 elbow equals 2 feet.
At that moment?
Yes.
Yeah, I think at the end of the game I was worried about a lot of the things that went wrong in the game, and the heat of the moment, the frustration of it after the game in the press conference, I think is, again, I misspoke. I'm well aware of the rule. I understand how it works. And the way that I articulated afterwards was incorrect. And I understand the rules of this game pretty well.
Brian, the sequence right before half, you've got a rookie quarterback on the road in the opener. Hindsight, maybe smarter to just take and try and get out of there and take that lead into the halftime and not let the Denver have a chance at the ball again?
Sure. There's every game has plays as a play caller that you want back. There's always situations that you think about, you could have called this instead of this, or that play instead of the other one, and those things happen often. That's every play caller, I think, around the league, and I'm no different. And so there was a moment there that on 1st and 10, took an aggressive throw, tried to get one down the field to Alec running across the field. We gave up a pressure, and then I tried to throw essentially a screen that would keep the clock running and have the ball in bounds, and we didn't execute that very well. And then the third down, certainly could have run the ball on the third down there. Was hoping to keep the clock running on that second down play, and then again on the third down play, could have had a better selection. Certainly.
On that screen, it kind of looked like three guys weren't, like they thought they were blocking, or what were those guys doing over there? Who was supposed to be facing the quarterback?
One of them was supposed to be facing the quarterback, and two were supposed to be blocking.
Was there confusion there on knowing who was doing what?
Yeah.
Brian, you said yesterday that part of that sequence was you wanted to be aggressive.
Yep.
And that moment, was the aggression because you thought you could score from the 7-yard line in a minute, or was it because you thought you really needed to get a first down with one play, otherwise they'd get the ball?
That was the intent, was that I knew they were going to be in man coverage. We called a play that was designed to go beat man coverage. We had Alec across the field, and I was trying to see if I could took one shot at a place that I felt pretty good about what we were going to get, and I liked the play call in the moment. And we had a shot to hit it, and it would have been a pretty good explosive game that maybe would have gave us one more chance to see if we could get into field goal range, with one or two more plays, and with timeouts in our pocket as well. So, yeah, I mean, it didn't work. So, yeah, certainly in hindsight, you get criticized for it, and that's fair. So, yeah, that's all I can really add to that.
Talk about the 2 sacks after the muffed punt yesterday. You said you needed to see him.
Yeah.
Did Cam have places to go that were safe on those 2 plays?
Yeah, there was. Those, we got beat pretty quick. It's also, I'm not going to put that all on Cam. I think the pressure was happening fast, and the ball on both those plays could have definitely had quicker answers, certainly. The first one would have been tough. The outlet there in that particular throw would have been to Tony, and Tony got stuck trying to get out. That ball's got to go to the back, and then the third down play, hard to say that's on Cam. That pressure came pretty quickly. We were in a spot where, generally speaking, was expecting some potential heavy pressure on that fringe area to see if they could try to knock us out and or have us force the ball out quick. So we called them max protection. They didn't bring the pressure, and we didn't get the execution of the protection, in that moment as good as we would have liked. So those things, again, when they don't work and those things happen, it's the criticisms are all fair. And ultimately, I got to do a better job at helping put Cam in a better spot.
Two things you guys worked on last year or I guess you worked on this season to improve from last year, were the penalties and then getting the play calls in quickly. When you struggle with both of those in the first week after spending all offseason focused on them, do you change anything about your approach to trying to make them better next week?
I think the penalty part, that part was frustrating, certainly, to have that amount and some of the types of penalties. Those are things that I was hopeful that we had grown past, and that the emphasis on it would show up for us. There was no indication that obviously that would happen the way it did, but they were big. They were critical penalties. I mean, there was some major third down penalties. The holdings are subjective. They get called every game. You're gonna have some here and there. Some crews call more than others. But yeah, I was disappointed by that, and the amount of work that we put into it to have that show up in that opening game was definitely disappointing. And we just got to keep going through the process. I mean, there's no shortcut to eliminating those things. You show them, you're accountable to them, and you make your coaching points, and you keep moving. It's just like any play, any technique, anything that you're trying to emphasize. You keep at it. And as far as what was the second part again? The play calls in. Again, I think our biggest issue in the play calls was the tempo back into the huddle. I think we were getting back a little bit later. We weren't good enough tempo-wise in that regard. We'll emphasize that. That'll be better. Loud, trying to get in and out of the huddle. Didn't give Cam enough time a few times to operate. And I think that's me as a play caller, and that's our tempo in the huddle, into the huddle, and out of it as well. So definitely something we got to get fixed for the next road game.
That is Brian Callahan. That press conference is going to continue, but I think for the purposes of the radio audience, we got enough. I mean, there's accountability there, but I don't know. I would be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed today. I'm sure that's how many of you are feeling. Talk about it tonight on Primetime. Blaine and Zach are next.